And we'll start with a moment of reflection. Okay, read the Indigenous acknowledgement. We would like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards of the land. The municipality is located within the boundary of Treaty 18, region of 1818, which is the traditional land of the Anishinaabeg, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat Wyandotte peoples. Okay. We have no members of the public present. Agenda. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda? Marie, seconded by Kara. Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Reports to be received as information. So we have the action plan, the space utilization study, the RP version 3, strategic planning committee report, and minutes, and the finance report from Q2. May I have a mover? Chris, seconded by Joanne. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, so previous minutes. We'll do this and then we'll launch into preparing for our strategic planning focus group. Now, I'm forgetting. Do we need to have a motion first before we discuss?
The minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
well, you wanted to make a change, didn't
I
you?
haven't, yeah.
So you could do it, so you move second,
Are there any?
then
And then
discuss,
open it.
all in favor, and then it would
Okay,
pass.
so can I have a mover?
I'll move it,
Sean, seconder, Chris, all in favor?
Discuss and then,
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we'll discuss the minutes. So Joanne, I know you wanted to make a slight change.
okay,
There was just a clarification, and I went back to listen again on the F3-1 about the 2026 budget. The second paragraph, I don't know that I'm not sure that it accurately reflects Lori's request. So Lori requested that the board review and align on the categories, the specific categorization. So there was a specific request. And I just think we could
add
take
that
action.
in.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree. Okay, so I will make note of that.
All right,
Okay,
so with that modification, addition, all in favor?
Yeah, got one more?
Oh,
Oh, no?
okay,
No, I was just agreeing.
Oh,
okay, all in favor, motion carried.
Yeah.
Okay, we were quick. All right, so at 1:30, we have our focus group and on the corporate strategic plan. So Adam Smith and Tim Hendry will be with us. So we now have some discussion questions here, and we'll spend the next 25 minutes or so maybe just brainstorming what kinds of points we want to make.
I do have them, now that I have the slides, I've got them up on the screen too. And I just have one question. I did, right before the meeting, like we could collaboratively take notes, or I can just handwrite notes.
Are you the secretary today too?
Yes.
Okay, we'll try to be. So Joanne, you had pulled some information together in a slightly different format because we did.
I think the questions are the same, it's just literally, one was in a Word document.
Okay,
Um,
And we could work from that if that's easier, so you can reference what Joanne had populated.
yeah, and
Just
we'll
this
just double check,
one.
yeah, don't worry about the upfront stuff.
yeah,
So it would be strengths of the community.
okay, so staff and council work very hard to improve,
So the first question is, what do you see as the strengths of the community?
the community.
And what about local government? So maybe I just put ideas down, these are not in any way correct. It was just like thought starters.
Okay, so the community is highly engaged.
I would agree. I'm not sure what always seeking activities means.
I was thinking more always seeking things to do, whether it's outside, cultural and physical.
Okay.
How about highly engaged in, a wide range of,
Advocacy.
activities for
Do you mean like
cultural.
This, yeah.
Give us an example of an activity.
So, sorry, I realized there's two ideas here, highly engaged in the community, in advocacy groups, et cetera, period. Always seeking, and it's true, again, not everyone, but lots of people are looking for things to do. I want to go hiking, I love to be a play, I
Yeah.
like to,
Yeah.
so they are two different ideas.
It is a very active,
Yeah.
physically
Yeah.
active community.
It's physically active, but it's also, I would say it's also culturally active.
Intellectually.
When we-
Intellectually.
Physically and culturally active.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so what
physically
you,
and culturally active.
what you pontificated on is what they've collected. It just adds to the same, to the residents that they,
Yeah.
that they've collected.
What they've collected, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of people that sit in the house and do nothing.
No, I'm just saying that
That's the exact opposite.
Oh, I think what he's,
I'm saying your points have been articulated,
yes,
that they collected that, so this
I did get it.
adds. to the
Oh,
same.
okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it complements the same.
yeah, it's not anything they haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there's really only so many ways to say one thing, or say,
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
ways to say the same thing, yeah.
I think, and again, so this has to be from what we observe about the library, and what people have told us as library services, I think, so again, none of this is. So I personally, from, what we have at the library, what people are, like the different programs that we have and what people want to participate in, the observation for me was there's a lot of different capabilities, education levels and experience
And interest.
and interests. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
community of communities, so what you're saying is we're a set of communities by location, like Craig Leaf and so forth.
Because we're so widespread.
Yeah. Flora Bay, et cetera.
Yeah, Clarksburg.
Yeah. Reading.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ravenna.
Yeah.
And it's a pro and a con because.
Yeah,
it's-
Mecca is Ravenna, thank you.
Right,
We
okay,
are the center.
because everybody believes.
We are the
that
center.
community is-
I'm right around the corner, so I don't disagree.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
What, can I just go back to highly engaged in advocacy? I'm not sure that makes sense. What, like the way that's written, what does that mean?
Well, look at the interest people took in the Merca study.
yeah.
But they can't list those before they.
Local decision making,
yeah, that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
okay,
Yeah.
highly engaged, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense, all right.
Well, like, if I may, Julia, like, even just look at you guys, look at this board. Like, highly active and advocating for the library, right? It's great, it's wonderful. It's not a quiet little board that goes, okay, right? No,
Poor
I just
Jen
think-
knows.
I think this board itself is a beautiful culmination of who have the community, advocating for their library. I think it's, you're there, you show up and you're
I
there.
don't think it's unique to the library either, because I sit on other things and they're
Yeah,
just as vocal and just as involved.
yeah, okay.
Anything else?
Local government strengths, there she is. Yeah, that, you have to allow extra time now, it's terrible.
I don't know.
For the construction.
I didn't put the construction in.
Bridge, of course, taking over.
I didn't know the bridge was shut down.
Just.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay. So Lori, we're just going through the, preparing for the focus group. We were on,
Technically question one.
yeah, question one. We just finished community strengths. You can take a look at it there, and then we were moving to local government strengths. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to community strengths. Okay. Local government strengths, we had a comment. Yes, staff and council were very hard. Improve transparency and efficiency.
for us, I would say for library is a collaborative, very collaborative and supportive local government of library
Yeah.
services.
Good.
Sorry.
I don't know how supportive when it comes to money, the support.
Well, I just feel with the, these seems to challenge our agreements, doing, how we do things. I feel like we get quite a bit of
Yeah.
positive,
We do.
feedback. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
How about that?
I mean, I guess it'll be a verbal conversation regardless when they get here, but.
Sure.
Or maybe cooperative and collaborative are the same thing.
Yeah, maybe just say collaborative. Cooperative,
Well, they're slightly different, because collaborative is in, accepting our participation, whereas cooperative is agreeing what we do. So they're slightly different.
but I think cooperative,
Cooperative?
do you want to keep cooperative in there?
How much are they agree on?
Yeah,
And it's not just us, it's the other boards too.
how about work collaboratively with local boards and committees? Okay. All right. Anything else before we move on?
Well, the one here, local government resource constraints, where is that? Limit the extent to which local government can deliver services to faster than the community. Are these?
Oh, sorry, that's the next.
That's amendment.
Because I like that line.
Yeah.
So that doesn't go here, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't challenges, yeah, I jumped in.
Okay.
Is a strength the fact that they're all seeking public feedback? Seek public, sometimes the phone calls may be very hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or
Practice feedback. Yeah.
Excessive? No.
Yeah, okay. So biggest challenges or issues in the community and in local government. So let's take a look at what we've got so far.
Everyone read that?
Yeah. Except it's just now, we just say above, they work so well in collaborating, now we're saying they don't, there's no disconnect between local groups and the town.
It's like having hearing problems and listening problems.
Yeah.
Well, there's some
I
very
don't
vocal people that
We could just
perhaps,
come out with it, whatever. It can't hurt my feelings.
I think there's twofold, the more I think about it, is there's discontent between, again, it's like the town should be doing something. We all don't recognize that we are the town, but
Yeah.
I don't mean the library board, I mean residents, we are the town. But there's also a notion, and it was mentioned in the report, about like small groups, having their own concerns. So it's like the pro of being a community of communities, but the challenge is each community has their own concerns.
Yeah.
And sometimes these groups are feeling like their concerns aren't heard and somebody else's are.
The concern being that the smaller group has a louder voice. That's what the concern
Yeah,
is.
they
right?
come out with smaller group.
The
What I'm
town,
trying to get at.
you're
from
saying
a
maybe the
library-
town is not always able to, listen, isn't that the right word?
To me,
Like, our-
this is about, sorry, this first point is about the community, and so again, this is just an observation
Mhm.
of sitting in multiple different groups and feeling, and again, with the library lens as a library, where our, like, social cohesion, everybody understanding that we're all here together and working together is really important. I see cracks in that.
So if
So I don't know
you're,
if it's worded right.
yeah, there seems to be a growing dissatisfaction
Hmm.
from the community on how the council is moving forward on
Yeah.
activities.
I don't know if you could say growing.
And there's just.
There's always been, and there is in every community,
Yeah.
so there maybe, should we say something like
We're not unique.
isolated, there's pockets of dissatisfaction, which is,
I think that's more realistic.
Yeah.
I don't get a sense that everybody
Yeah.
knows what's going on.
No, yeah, it's true. Yep, yep. That's good.
Okay.
Like what the consultant said this morning was that, you know, in their scope of everything or for what they've taken in, they've had more, there's actually been more people participate in the survey to date for any survey, way over 800, so that's great. They said that when it comes to engagement with the community, we are far exceeding the norm for engagement,
yeah,
right? So I think this is where you're kind of getting at, right? The engagement's there, but the action and the pursuit of happiness after that,
Mm.
that's where it sort of falls off. If I'm,
Yeah.
Well, because we don't have the uniform way of looking at things, and so this person thinks that this should happen, this person thinks this should happen, council.
because they're,
Decide between two or neither.
because they lack direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
who
don't-
lacks direction?
Not this board, I'm saying.
So what if you say there seems to be pockets of dissatisfaction and,
Between some local groups,
and inaction by council or perceived inaction by council?
That probably is a better way to put it.
And that address is like, I want this road built,
Yeah.
and it's not even council's decision, but I want, so they.
That's something that they touched on today too, yeah.
So I almost feel like I'm hearing
Inaction.
information and disinformation.
Inaction is one word, isn't it?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That was also brought up.
misinformation,
Social media brings a lot of mis and
Oh,
disinformation.
yes.
yeah,
I'm even thinking about that.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, misinformation and.
Yeah. Correct.
I think that's,
And disinformation.
because everybody in our world is dealing with this,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, it's a
Well,
growing
someone needs
concern.
Comments on the Facebook forums.
you know who doesn't?
Yeah.
You don't shake your head, you don't fall.
I don't know, if, you
I
know.
removed
I
myself
agree
from
with the last
social media.
sentence,
That's
but
probably good.
just more.
Okay, so we're running out of time, so, let's keep moving. Do you think there's limited social and cultural opportunities, or I think you were trying to,
Maybe
Just-
spaces for that to happen.
Yeah. yeah. Space,
Put spaces.
Yeah,
spaces. It's a constant thing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
not
like
equal,
that
I don't
better
know.
too.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then, that's lovely.
Yeah, I do, I like that.
sentence.
Yeah.
Good job.
Get it across. Boy, I was reinforced by some of the lovely stuff this morning.
Mhm.
I'm gonna open the window. again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah, the long home's gone.
What we do? Oh, yeah, it's stuffy. All right, so, I mean, we're gonna be able to add lib too, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Yeah. So that's what they're looking,
Yeah,
for the engagement.
okay, are there any areas where you think the town should be doing more or better?
Making decisions and moving on.
So this is,
Supporting Councillor McKinley when he brings forward motions to expand the library.
Yes, put that in there. Yes, that's a good one.
Because none of them did.
Yes, yes.
Sorry.
Library expansion.
All by myself. I was always an outstanding student, like standing in the hall.
Okay, of the library. Let's just be blunt.
How about glam services?
Oh, yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the interest. The library board you're talking to today.
pardon?
It's the library board you're talking to today.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else?
Multi-use recreational facility. No, don't
No,
put that
don't.
in. Don't muddy the waters.
But you're right, that's where when there's too many things overlapping, then it's confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He said down at this another spot, but it's like more action, less talk.
More do, yeah, more listen, more, more listen, less talk.
And
Yeah.
no, sometimes it feels to me that they're in the paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, that's what was mentioned this morning too.
Yeah.
okay.
Make a decision, yes.
They get another staff report, so we don't know what to do
That's-
today.
That's what they mentioned today.
Staff report happens a lot.
More
Okay.
action on priorities, I guess, would be.
Well, that's part of the problem, they haven't figured out quite.
No, you're absolutely right, Lori. That's what the consultant said this morning. Like, there's a paralysis, right? It's an actual, like, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a highly complex world, right? So it's difficult to,
We're 7 members to make the decisions, not to second guess staff, not to
okay.
undermine staff or the professionals that we've hired to do a job, let alone, like, we're there to make the hard decisions,
Yeah.
Keep reversing.
Not- not defer and deflect away and
Okay.
call for more reports and inevitably
With very clear priorities.
keep kicking that can down the road. That's what's been going on. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, and from our perspective, what do we want the town to focus on or prioritize? Well, the expansion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Expansion, yes.
Why don't you say levels for our growing population?
Yeah,
Put the concept of growing in there.
I would like to say entire,
Entire growing.
because
Entire growing population.
I mean, maybe all age groups gets it. I just feel very strongly that we always talk about the growing population, and like we have to do stuff for the new people. It's like, we have opportunities.
Here and now. Yeah.
The current.
yeah.
Yeah, we have to keep current.
Current and growing
Yeah.
rather than entire.
So so aside from a bigger expanded library, potentially another site, what about from the depot perspective, the archives? And I'm thinking of that article you included in the package too, about archives. So what could we say about the museum and archive?
Potentially, I don't know, greater appreciation of, I think,
Need for services in Gregory.
Would you say?
Need for services in Gregory.
Yeah, but that's,
yeah,
we've already, I think, captured that. I'm thinking about just from an archive museum perspective. What,
I think like heritage and sort of all of those words are constantly mentioned at the council level, but I don't necessarily think that there's a value or appreciation for something that already exists, if that.
yeah,
You don't see much publicity about it, like coming from the town?
It's about championing, right? And
No,
championing the fact that what's been done before us.
yeah,
Who did this? How did we got here?
yeah, no.
They don't do it.
It's invisible, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So that's a good word though. Is
preserving our
That's what a
heritage.
lot of them were cutting down was, we shouldn't use the
So
word
is it about
champion.
championing championing the support or championing
Visibility.
the cultural and historical service? Right?
And,
Achievements, I don't know.
Say
I
assets.
say increase.
we could maybe use some of the words from the, that article.
Did you just say increased focus on heritage?
Heritage and culture, right? Because they do, yeah. As it is.
So here's what the article says. Years-long delays, archaic privacy laws, and chronic underfunding are threatening our national memory.
I mean, I might be oversimplifying because I'm also thinking about library and gallery too, but, maybe it's more so just having an overall understanding of how the GLAM fits into larger town priorities. I think we've said that
Some
before
increased
many
understanding of the
times.
contribution of the Glen.
Or integrating.
Recognition?
Recognition of that.
Integrating, yeah, you know, prioritize integrating GLAM services.
No, how about, what did I say? Prioritizing?
Recognizing.
Recognizing our unique value as a GLAM. More than books, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, more than books is a good point. Not just a book.
Well, we want more than recognition, we want increased support. What do you want the town to prioritize? We want more support for.
Recognition and support.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
to the town, to TBM. Yeah, okay,
By the town, isn't it?
okay.
And support could be financial,
Well, but it's also publicity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's marketing,
it could be
so
media.
that people are aware of buildings and what they have within these facilities.
But what about the schoolhouse? Like, I just think that little building is just rotting there, right? Like that could be under our, yeah,
In cultural assets and spaces.
assets and spaces,
That's
like
where
the
I'm just thinking about the
schoolhouse.
tribes and that the article is very true, is
Yeah.
literally. So here's the way of looking at this is everybody wants to stay a small town. Well, how do you know, what are you trying to keep? Are you trying to keep the 1800 version? Here's what it looks like. Are you trying to keep the 1925 version? Here's what it looks like. The actual references that we have, can actually be a really important part of, reminding people or defining, helping define. Yeah.
What small town charge
So-
is, how do you define small? town?
Okay, so we've got 4 minutes left. Are we gonna print this out?
Again,
Do you want to, fix the numbers? And you don't need number 1, right? Unless you wanna hand that to them.
It's not, this was from the other,
Yeah, that's from the other document.
okay, this is Tim, he knows all this.
Yeah.
The consultants don't.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we can leave it there. Yeah, that's actually a good point, the consultants don't,
Okay,
yeah. So,
all right. And do we wanna have anything in the last question?
what are we excited about?
so it's different than what's on the screen.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
When you look ahead to the future of the town, what are you most excited about?
Not much, no.
Actually, question 5 isn't, there, that is not on the, do we align with the future story?
You can just take out 5.
Yeah, take it,
That was.
yeah. Okay, so what are we most excited about? Expansion,
The potential for expansion.
the potential for expansion.
For expanded GLAM services.
The potential of spending that money.
I mean, we know the value of what we provide, so I think we, yeah,
Well, we still have to sell it.
yeah. And what about concerns? Paralysis?
Not expanded?
How about, could we say,
Being ignored.
well, we're gonna go into lame duck soon, right?
No.
Deprioritize, is that a word?
No, but like, it's like this,
It's like we just got rolling and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden the price
yeah,
changed.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
Is that a word?
loss of momentum, maybe we could say?
Being deprioritized?
Yeah, where whole new councils come in,
Yeah.
and then it starts all over.
Yeah.
That's why I think there's gotta be something done about the organizational skills like the handover to the next council. Cause there isn't one. They call it orientation. You have no idea. And they don't really tell you. There's no running track record on where things are at. And so it's not as if, there's no seamlessness to it. It's not as if you can, okay, do this little break and you have a
So
new
really it
election.
goes back to the, tracking of all actions
Yeah.
or decisions and how that's transitioned to the new council.
Yeah.
So maybe the concern is starting again with the new council.
Yeah,
Right, all of it.
yeah, okay, that's good.
whenever you guys are ready, I'll go up and get
Okay.
him. He doesn't want
Yeah.
to barge in, like I said.
Okay,
The only other thing I just wanted to throw out there is, in the context of the strategic plan, like, we always align ours with theirs, but should we identify it? Should we identify a concern about a lack of alignment between or inclusion of us in their
Yeah, the fight,
plan?
yeah, the fight for kind of inclusion.
I
Yeah,
think that's a good point. We're concerned
Yeah.
about the lack of inclusion in town strategic plan. Which we should be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming to talk to us, but it's more,
That's a great
We
point.
weren't initially part of it.
right,
plan and initiatives.
yeah.
That's it, yeah, town initiatives, the fact that we have to fight for inclusion.
I would say the strategic plan and because, again, strategically, we are a vehicle for delivery of services.
Mhm.
And so we should be at that level and the initiatives
Yeah.
themselves, yeah. Yeah, good.
Do you want me to print this before Tim comes in?
Are you gonna leave it up?
No, they have presentation slides.
Yeah, if you don't
And then
mind just
one of the
printing.
slides will be,
Yeah, let's just print it and then we'll keep it. Very good.
I was,
Good
unfortunately,
teamwork.
I had also done a session with another group. So that's why I had the question.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And you
so
had the
I-
answers in the forefront of it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Yeah, you know, a lot of the discussions, it wasn't. Good. Thanks.
Sorry.
Good afternoon. You guys?
we are recording,
so you're
aware. Do you want me? Okay. I can go forever.
That's-
See, this is our lack of space.
Well played.
Just good.
You could have mine.
You want me to go ahead and correct it?
Yeah, well, I'm just quickly grabbing.
Or you can stand behind Tim maybe. then-
Oh, no, you can sit here.
Well, let's, Jimmy, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you're going.
You know what? I'm happy to stay down. We just sat for the whole night.
We do have another chair, do you?
Wheel chairs?
I'm sorry, we have no more chairs. We're.
You don't need to
Game.
move down, I'll move down.
These are way more comfortable chairs than those things at the town hall, so.
There.
Those plastic ones, I don't know how people even endure sitting. in them
Oh,
all day. That's why I'm sitting there and I'm squirming around and I'm like, oh my back.
But especially in the basement room, it's called the chairs are showing.
There needs to be an industrial accident with those chairs, just saying. Did you you grab some lunch? Everything was good?
Yeah, everything was good. Burgers were you there for the fire call?
The fire call?
Yeah. All of a sudden the tones went off. We had Steve, he had his gloves on, and he was flipping burgers, and that's it. Gloves come, he's in his Hawaiian shirt too.
Yeah.
Gloves come off, and he just starts running.
Oh, geez.
There was a real fire alarm?
Yeah, we were doing a staff barbecue today in the fire hall.
Oh,
And,
and-
while we were there, of course, all the fire, we were trying to enjoy lunch and have a hot dog, and next thing you know, the fire tones go off, meaning that they just got called out. today.
I saw it.
He probably, yeah, that's, okay, all right. Well, welcome. I'm Julia Scott. I'm the chair of the library board and if you will,
Joanne,
Hi,
vice chair.
Chris, all right,
Hi.
Lori,
past chair.
and then Marie Swift.
And Carol.
My name is Juan.
You know who you are?
That's true.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for having us. Would you like to say anything just before we?
No,
Kick it
we're
off.
just really excited to be included.
Okay, well, thank you very much. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Tim Hendry. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives with the town. We have our interim CIO, Adam Smith. So we're really excited to be able to facilitate this workshop with the library board. I know you're going through your own strategic planning exercise in the near future. And I think the timing of this is really excellent. You know, we've been conducting these focus group sessions with various community organizations over the course of the last month. And I'll get into the slide deck in a little bit and talk about the process, but I think very timely today, and I know Joanne just sat through it all, but we had our first workshop with council. And that workshop had a number of different pieces to it, but we looked at the public survey results, we looked at the SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and started to get into some mission, vision, and values. And I think, the timing of the library board having their session this afternoon is, number one, great that you want to be involved in the town's strategic planning process, but it's also very timely because I think what you and have the benefit of Joanne sitting through the meeting, you kind of get a shape of, or a sense of the shape that things may start to take. And obviously this was the first workshop with council, so nothing is set in stone and not necessarily confirmed, but the library board is the library is an integral part of the community and an aspect of the fabric of this community. And I think having your voice at that strategic planning level is really important. So I'll go through the slide deck and then we do have some discussion questions. I think you've seen them in advance. It's really a free form discussion. We'll make sure that we cover all aspects of the questions, but by no means do we need to keep in order, and we'll kind of just get your perspective as, your priorities and kind of vision for the community related not only to your own strategic planning process, but how that correlates into the town's strategic planning process. So any questions before we jump into the slide deck? Okay, I'll try to cover this quickly, maybe about 5 minutes or so. We can go through.
Yes.
We can skip this. I think we've already covered that. So what is a strategic plan? And bear with me for a second. This is kind of a 101, and I know you're going through your own process, so you know this, but I think the main message here is that this is a shared vision for the community about how things will unfold into the future. And importantly, is the graphic on the right-hand side, this corporate strategic plan is the top guiding document for the town. We like to call this the North Star. This is where we're going. What you see below the master plan, the operational plans, and the budget, that's kind of, the analogy of the vehicle that gets you there. The budget is the gas pedal that determines how fast you're going to get there, but the strategic plan is that North Star. And if you followed along the process to date, you've heard me say, and I think our consultants contradicted me this morning, which is great. But I've always, said at the staff level, it feels like at times we don't have a clear sense of where that North Star is. Every day, every week, priorities change, priority shifts, new things pop up, things drop off, things change. And when the goalpost keeps moving, it's very hard to allocate resources accordingly and to make sure that we're actually making progress. Our consultant this afternoon said, no, there is a sense of a vision. We have the official plan, you have the future story or sustainability plan, you have the town's previous strategic plan. What you're missing is the cohesion between all of those visioning documents. So it's in flux right now, and that's why we're going through this strategic planning exercise with council. But ultimately, I think what's important to keep in mind here is that this strategic plan is intended to guide decision-making going forward. So when members of council are sitting around the table and they're making a decision, whether it's financial or operational, about a particular subject, they can reflect on the principles of the strategic plan, because I think very clearly we can't be everything to everyone and we can't solve every single issue. We need to be strategic in the sense that we have only so many staff hours, we only have so much budget. And the reality is we only have so much scope, and our sphere of responsibility and jurisdiction is also set by the province. So we need to be mindful about who should do what and what role the town should play. On to the next slide, please. So I love this, and I think, you'll go through this in your own exercise, but a strategic plan is not a blue sky wish list. Again, we can't be everything, solve every single problem. And most importantly, it is not an operational plan. If you look at the town's current strategic plan, which is 20 to 2024, it is an operational plan. It has very specific actions. I'll just give you an example. When it says update the staff report template to include such and such and such, that's not strategic. That is a very action-oriented, very specific level of detail. And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid with this plan. I've framed this with council many times over, but what you won't see in this plan is the town should do X, Y, and Z. What you will see is strategic themes. You'll see some expected or anticipated outcomes of what we would like to achieve. What we will actually do to get there will be included in the operational plan, and that will come through the budget process. So when you think of a complex topic like attainable housing, your mind probably starts to think of all these different things that we could do. The nuts and bolts of how we do it will be through the operational plan. The end goal of building housing or partnering to build housing, whatever that looks like, that will be the essence of the strategic plan. But how we specifically do it will not be detailed in this one.
Well, if I may too, the consultant said this morning too, that council seems to have got confused on, maybe a little blurred is that in no way is that strategic plan supposed to be a micromanagement plan for staff and for operational purposes, because that's what's been going, that's what happened, that's what's been clouding and muddying the waters. So I think
100%, thank you for saying that, and I think, you know, that again segues into why we have master plans and operational plans. You know, you get into, you know, you have the master transportation plan, the master drainage plan, that is where you start to get one layer deeper, more specific, more tactical, more action oriented. But the strat plan is meant to set that vision again. So just to help frame that and keep some context. On the next slide. So why are we developing a strategic plan? Cole's note version is our current corporate strategic plan has come to an end. It was developed in 2019. It was in effect from 2020 to 2024. A lot has changed since then. It was developed internally by the town, not using any external consultants. It was largely driven by the previous term of council. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. If you followed municipal politics over the last 8 years, the previous term of council to this term of council is very different. And with that, I think you've seen the natural questioning and challenging of, is the 2020 to 2024 strategic plan still relevant? Does it still resonate with the needs of our community? Does it resonate with the priorities of council? And I think very clearly what we've heard is that it largely doesn't, and we need to update it. And what we're focusing on in this is a strategic plan that is realigned with the term of council. So one of the unique aspects of municipal government is that every 4 years, we have a new leadership. You may have some people that decide to run again, and they may or may not be successful, but every 4 years, essentially, the leaders change and or have the potential to change. And the general best practice in municipal strategic planning is that the strat plan is aligned with the term of council. And it's a bit of a challenge because, strategic plans are meant to be forward-looking, and a 4-year cycle is not forward-looking. The North Star, hopefully, if we do it well and do it right, it won't necessarily change. And we can keep those principles, but by realigning it with the term of council, we can make sure that we have a plan that has that level of buy-in that we need to get results. So this strategic plan is being developed this year. Council has given us the mandate of having it done before the end of the year, so we're on track for December. It will be in effect into the first year of the next term of council, at which point the new council will be tasked with reviewing and updating the plan to reflect their priorities based on essentially their election promises or campaigns or things at the time. So that just gives you a bit of a sense. And just to speak on the branding, we're very proud of this, but we're calling it our path forward. That's exactly what this is. This is a path forward towards that North Star. And it's this collective kind of conversation with the full community. So we'll get into how we've been engaging the community next, I believe. Well, first the timeline. So we kicked the project off in May. As I said, we were aiming to have it finalized by December. We're right in kind of the end of the second phase, which is the current state assessment. We've been doing workshops with, one-on-one discussions with members of council, the senior leadership team. We had a community survey, focus groups, pop-up sessions, and a whole bunch of stuff in between. And we're going to continue that engagement throughout the summer, leading into the strategy development and then the validation, which I think is a really important step of this process. We're not just asking the broad community, members of council and staff, what do you think at the start, and then never going back to them. This is about getting the information up front, creating a framework, and then going back to validate that framework. So, I based on our timeline right now, by the end of August, early September, there will be a draft framework available. There'll be further workshops with council, and residents in the broad community will have the opportunity to essentially pulse check it and to make sure that what feedback they shared, they can reflect upon it and see if it's resonated within the plan, or if that plan resonates with them, I should say. And if they need to further provide some clarity or comments to our consultants to help, make it a little more specific.
You are the consultants?
I guess that would have been a great thing to start with, because generally they deliver this presentation. So we did an RFP process, and we have a strategy work.
Okay.
So it's led by Sabine Matheson as our principal lead on the project. Stacy Hutchison is the kind of general day-to-day support, and then we have a few other staff members that are helping support it. So if you're not familiar with Strategy Corp, they're they're basically a municipal consulting firm. They are, quote unquote, the leading experts in Canada. If you attend any municipal conference of any scale, Roma, AMO, or any of them at all, Sabine or Stacy is likely there speaking.
Okay.
They also conduct an annual CAO survey. And that survey is a really fundamental piece to their research. They interview CAOs from across Ontario every single year, and it gives them a annual kind of understanding of the pressures facing municipalities across the province. And they've been doing that for a number of years. So through that survey, you're able to identify trends and see some shifts. And what's really interesting to talk about strategy part, we were just eating lunch with Sabine, our project lead, and I said, are you working on other strategic plans right now? She's been doing this for 30 years. And she said, no, we're not, but we're working on a service delivery review with the city of Toronto. So it's interesting when you see, a bit of a different scale and scope of the project, but they're working with the city of Toronto and then with the town of Blue Mountain. So you have this consultant with quite literally the widest, experience spectrum that you can imagine. And just to give it an insight, she was saying that the issues facing municipalities are 100% the same. It's just scale and scope. And she was explaining that in the city of Toronto, they are doing a pothole service request review. So when someone calls 311 to submit a complaint about potholes, how that goes through the, triage through the system to actually getting fixed, that efficiency in that system alone is worth about $60 million a year.
Wow.
3 times the town's budget for one service that the city of Toronto delivers.
Potholes.
Yeah, potholes. They're also doing roadkill service request review. So they have, the city of Toronto has, I think she said they're doing 5 very specific service reviews. And by the time they're done, they're anticipating over $100 million in efficiency.
Yeah.
So you take that context and that broad understanding and you boil it down to, we literally have the best project team that we could ask for supporting this.
Great.
Move forward to the next slide.
But I'd say we're lucky enough to be conducting our own customer service review. We're
Absolutely.
doing it ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's going very well. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be, don't worry.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's a great piece to add to this, not to take away from this presentation, but the strat plan is I talked about being the most important, but there is so much work happening in the town. We just finished our official plan. We're doing a customer service review, the master transportation plan, drainage plan. We have an action plan next year. Like there's a lot of moving pieces that all need to have that cohesion together. I'll try to wrap up here quickly, but consultation has been a key aspect of the process. I think I've mentioned most of these, but we've really had the mandate here of trying to reach the entire community. Obviously, that's impossible. Not everyone wants to engage with municipal government, but we're certainly doing the best that we can. Being very intentional in trying to reach multiple segments. We've engaged local businesses. We've tried our best to engage youth. We're engaging seniors. I mean, the library's been a significant partner in this. We're coming to the seniors fitness class next week. I think it's the summer reading club,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, at the Parquet. So thank you to you and your team, Jen, but I think generally speaking, we're trying to get out into the community to go where people are instead of expecting them to come to us. We've also conducted a number of focus group sessions. So just to give you a perspective, the Ratepayers Association, the Institute of South Georgian Bay, service clubs, the Fruit Growers Association, and everything in between. So, very service club related organizations down to some business sector organizations, but anyone and every group that's interested, we are giving the opportunity to participate in this process. I think we can kind of skip this. Essentially, we're here today to listen to you and your voice. We can skip over this as well, and I think that's probably it. We do have a project page on the town website. Maybe Jen can circulate the link, bluemountains.ca/our path forward, and all of the project details and updates we posted there. So I think we're almost there. We get through to this. There we go. Okay, over to the questions. So this is where we want to hear from you. We do have prepared questions. These were not put together by us. These were put together by the consultant. It's a standard set of questions. So I'd love to, and I'll challenge you throughout this, don't just think that you need to answer these questions. I think we'd love to hear your perspective, anything you would like to share. And we'll start with questions 1 and we'll go, what do I want to do here? We'll start with question 1, and just to put some context around this. When we see the word community, I want you to truly think of the word community, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a second. There's a bit of a lesson that we've learned through this. When you ask people how they view the community, or you ask people how they view the town, the word that you use matters because everyone views it differently. When we say community, some people think of, you know, the physical geographical area of the town of the Blue Mountains. They think of the community. They think of the residents, the service clubs, the businesses, the organization, the people that live here. I've had other conversations where I said, what do you think about the community? And people think in the context of the municipal government, like the corporation, so everyone has a bit of a different understanding. Same when we say, what do you think of the town? Some people think of the town of the Blue Mountains as a corporation, other people think of the community. So just for framing it in question number one, what do you see as the strengths of the community, meaning the physical community that we all, live or work or enjoy?
We're just puzzled because we had some notes, but we didn't.
I think that, I just double checked, it does start on the end of the first page, do you see it, or is yours blank?
We have one page.
So Jen, you can probably, or whoever's got the page, that's okay.
These are the questions that we sent,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Oh, okay.
They just,
Yeah, we,
Okay, perfect. Oh, I did the homework already, yeah.
I just,
okay.
didn't hand them out properly. This is my excellent
Well,
administration.
it's all right. It's okay. It's all good. If you have the, yeah, okay.
Give them the copy.
I can send it after.
Sure.
if it helps.
Yeah, sure, thanks, Sean.
All right, well, who would like to start?
And I think what I'd like to do to frame this, I'm sorry if I'm gonna go off script here and kind of put the context of the questions, but what I'd like to talk about is, the strengths of the community, and we'll get into the challenges of the community, but we'll keep them related to kind of your perspective as the library board member is dealing with the various audiences that you do. And then I think we'll get into that same conversation, but specifically related to kind of the functions of the library board and how that interfaces with the town and what opportunities you see, what challenges you see in your relationship with the town. But let's keep it at the community level for now.
Okay. All right, well, let me start then. We brainstormed just before you came in.
Absolutely.
But we think our community is very engaged. There's lots of involvement in advocacy initiatives, local decision-making. And our community actively, and this is really specific to the library, are actively seeking activities, cultural activities, educational activities, physical activities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have lots of examples for all of these, so if you want anything fleshed out.
No, that's great. Yeah, no, I absolutely will.
We've also, just the range of capabilities, education levels, experience and interests. So again, sort of observations in terms of who we see, the different programs that we run and, interest in the whole range of things that are here.
Yeah.
So it is we know, like statistically, it is a highly educated community.
Absolutely.
But it's beyond the education.
Yeah.
There's significant experience in so many different areas.
Yeah.
So that's really, it's awesome.
Absolutely.
And then the other thought on communities, and again, it's come out in the note, in the research, is really about this community of communities. And we do, you do see that, you do see that people are, proud of the community where they're from.
Yeah.
But there is that overarching, we want to be part of the greater community.
Yeah.
But definitely, which is a bit of it creates attention too.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And these are all great points. I'm going to take a page out of our consultants book because I've had the benefit of sitting through a few of these with them. What do you think, and maybe difficult to answer, but what do you think the why is behind that? So we have an engaged community. Yeah, we have these amazing individuals that live here with a range of capabilities, education level, experiences and interest. They have this desire to be a part of a larger integrated community, but why? So all of those are great things to have, but what makes us unique? Because I think what our consultants have brought to the table, and again, they've done these strategic plans across the province, but there truly is a why in this community that they don't often see in other communities. And I'll give you just the example of this morning. We had 6 people in the audience maybe, and they were saying that's 6 more people than they have in any other community that they go to. They can have a city with hundreds of thousands of people or a 1 million+ population, and they get 0 people turning up to a strategic planning session. Yeah, we had 6, and I mean 6 is a small number, but like I said, it's 6 times more than anyone else has. So I think to ask do you have any insight as to why?
I would suggest maybe it's, we've got, like myself, I was a professional and retired, I've come up here, I've picked up all these skills, I wanna be community, so I come in library.
Absolutely.
And then you wanna expand and have a bit of an influence on what's happening in your community, so you've got a very vocal, and it was stated earlier, a very vocal, well-educated group here.
Yes.
That's always had a vested interest in what they do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's chicken or egg, but, there's so many things to do here, so it draws people. But then the people also create, new things to do, so it's very, I think, dynamic in terms of the makeup is, has changed and continues to change because people want to live here.
You
Yeah,
get a lot of retired professionals.
absolutely.
I was gonna say, I think, and retired.
Yeah.
Which has all sorts of baggage with it. Many of us don't want to say
Spare
we're
time.
yet. But I think what comes with that, and so this is sort of the deeper emotional driver of
Yeah.
this, is, okay, I've had this 50-year career. Ouch. Wow. But I had this really long career, and while I'm stopping the work that I did, I don't want to stop working.
Absolutely.
I want to be involved in things, so there is a deeper desire to continue to use what you have and to engage in different things that you're interested in, so, and we have more time
Yes.
to do it, so.
And I would say a lot of the retired professionals were very influential in their careers, and they don't wanna lose that ability to influence.
Yeah.
And I think linked with that is, it's a small community, so you have, it's easier to get involved, you're more aware of things, and you also feel it more, because then it can impact you personally in your own life.
Mhm.
So whatever policy the council does, it can come back to impact us, to influence us wherever we're living. Whereas in Toronto, which is where I came from, you don't even pay attention because it's so big and amorphous that you don't feel like you have much of a say. Besides the fact that you're working all the time, but anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it's great perspective. I think, that level of awareness, and well, one group, not to name them, try to keep the information here confidential, but the one group used the term vulnerable. And, we really explored that. And they gave the perspective of, being a retirement community, having professionals from, various backgrounds, you get people that have lived all over the world. And you have this kind of collective of experiences, of lived experiences. And, they use the word vulnerable because, we have something that's so special and so unique here. And we maybe have a more heightened understanding of what could happen or what it could become, which is both, maybe forward-looking and positive, but also poses a bit of a risk and a challenge, but, whether it's the natural environment or the quality of life or that small town charm. So I think, exactly what you just said, it's just, I think that's a great context into the why. Kind of moving forward, just looking at this, when you look at, oh, sorry, I don't want to go too far off your notes here, but what I'd love to get into is, the strengths of the town as, I think the town is a corporation, the corporation of the Town of the Mountains, the strengths, and then, certainly we can get into the weaknesses.
Can I just add to the previous comment about the why? Because I come from a small town. I didn't come from Toronto. I didn't come from a big city. And when Sean knocked at my door, when he was,
A few years ago now.
yes, campaigning, I was thrilled to see, like, I grew up in a small town. I lived in a small town on the other side of Georgian Bay.
Yeah.
I think that what's missing sometimes is the respect for the original people of this community. We need to be a welcoming community. I feel honored to live here when I just, visited here once in a while, and I'm a community member now. But we also need to, not just honor the people that are coming from bigger cities, but the people who are here in the first place and not push them away.
Yeah, completely. I mean, that resonates with the discussion this morning. Strategy Corp in the SWOT analysis said, one of the, I can't remember if they classified it as a challenge or weakness, but one of the matters that we're going to have to address as a community is that there is a division here, whether it's urban residents versus rural residents, whether it's full-timers versus part-time or seasonal, whether it's generational versus newcomers. There is a divide, and as a community, we're going through this growing pains phase right now, I think is the best way to classify it and characterize it. And we need to, respect all the different kind of opinions and perspectives, but, you know, understand that as a community, things still need to move. So I appreciate that. Let's go into the kind of the strengths of the town. And I know it's a little awkward when you're sitting here when we start to talk about the town, but, you know, please know that we're open to all feedback and everything that you do share with us. We'll obviously pass on to our consulting team, but there is no personal feelings here at this table. This is all feedback to help contribute to a better future.
I'll start it off on a plus. I think it should be pointed out, Adam as a CAO, this is the most board meetings the town of the CAO has ever attended. So props to you. You're breaking the mold,
Oh, thank you.
right? I think it's great, right? You take the initiative. He's taking the initiative and he's here. I don't know the last time or how often, how engaged the previous CAOs of this town were with the library board. Lord, I know I'm looking at you for your historical reference, but Adam gets the prize. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
There.
Actually,
Positive
we'll
note.
finish that question now, actually.
Positive
I mean, that is what we also highlighted, that we appreciate, you know, that we have what we feel is a really collaborative relationship with town council and staff, and, you know, it's not just, it's not performative.
Yeah.
It really is, it is really integral to how we both work, and so
Absolutely.
it's certainly appreciated.
And Jen's been great too, at getting quite involved in things, so it, you know, it has benefits beyond just her contribution to the initiatives. It's-
Yeah, I mean, not to give Jen any accolades, because she doesn't need any, but I'll tell you, like, at the very early onset of this process, you know, Jen called me and said, you know, I understand the town's doing a strategic plan, we're gonna be doing a strategic plan, are there opportunities to partner? Is there things that we can leverage from one another, are there alignment? In that conversation, I've been with the town for 7 years now, I'm not speaking ill about anyone, but that culture just wasn't there. And, you know, now we've got it, and it's a great thing to keep momentum with, and to make sure that council's aware too, that there is alignment and partnership, and we're actively trying to, you know, work with one another and leverage our skill sets and et cetera, so.
I think we feel that actually, so
Yeah.
it is reflected back. And I really do give kudos to Jen for probably opening up a lot of doors for us. And so it certainly has been felt and
That's
recognized.
great.
And I think it's the philosophy of the small town discussion, right? I think you two are perfect exemplification of that, being in the positions you're in now and having your own experience of having gone to elementary school together.
Okay, so we go way back.
So, you know,
Really?
this is what I mean. This is-
remember. I'll get into
But this is like,
I wanna
this
see
is
the
the
picture.
philosophy, this is what I mean about the philosophy
Picture.
of a small town is, right? It's not something you can necessarily look and touch and feel, but you can feel it because, you know, you both are, you know, in your statuses or in your places of office now, but you have a connection, right? And you break down the walls, right? You've broken down, you busted out silos, because that's what we know, we were all sort of starting to work in silos. And now we're not. It's great.
Something else we had written is that we've noted that staff and council have worked very hard to improve transparency and efficiency.
Yes.
So we see that. So that's a strength, and the fact that you're always seeking public feedback.
Very good. I appreciate that. And I think, you know, it's not, I'm not gonna speak to all these, but I think it's an important piece. I've been working with a number of residents through the process, and, you know, you often have folks from the private sector, and I think it's really unique, and I'll take just 30 seconds. You know, I was having this conversation, they were saying, you know, in my business, you know, so on and so forth. And, you know, the private sector versus the municipal sector are two completely different animals. I worked in the private sector, I was in marketing, we had a product, we had a defined target audience, we knew it inside and out, and we were very intentional. In the municipal world, we do everything from bylaw enforcement to fire services to, you know, water treatment plants, and the sphere of service offering is so broad, and it actually expands beyond, in some cases, what we should be doing and what we should be delivering. And our audience is everyone, every single ratepayer from every single background. And some people love us and some people don't ever want to hear from us. So, you know, it's very different. different from the private sector, but I think that level of public engagement that you see council commit to and that level of listening, openness and accountability and transparency is all in that, in support of that is, we have to be accountable to everyone in the community. Our breadth of control is so wide. I appreciate that. I love hearing it. We can go all day if you'd like. Okay, there you go. So let's move into I think the next is the challenges related to, we'll start with the community and then we'll go into the town. So challenges for the community as a whole.
So we sort of said it here, but I'll use the example. We talked about people coming from bigger cities coming here. They want to protect the small town charm, but they want the same facilities that they had in Toronto, that they had in Oakville.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find that balance.
Yeah, right. The big city I'm used in the small town.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without losing that charm, whatever that charm is.
Something that libraries have always been, involved in is, trying to stop the spread of, disinformation and misinformation, but, with social media, we do see that is a challenge. There are growing concerns with every organization, every community.
Mhm.
So, and we're not immune to that.
Fair. Yeah, that's very
Did
good.
you have an additional thought on that? You sort of shouted up about misinformation. Was there? I just want to make sure, because you had mentioned it and I just didn't know if there was an example.
Yeah. Is the second part of this question, sorry, it's right.
Kind of
on the
related to the
screen
town.
here.
Oh, it's the same.
Yeah, I imagine that's also a challenge for, council and decision making and how you listen to the community.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to go on the Facebook groups
Yeah,
to, see lots of,
and opinions all over.
And
misinformation.
part of that comes the challenge of how do you create some unified thinking in the community so that there's a social cohesion. So as you said before, there's all these communities of interest, different parties, et cetera. But then how do you build, so there's one vision that everybody can support and make it strong and agreement, and that's challenge.
Yeah, and I mean, misinformation it's so difficult. And I mean, as a counselor, Sean knows this, but when an agenda package gets released, I mean, they've got multiple staff reports. You can spend hours and hours and hours reading, preparing for a meeting. And a member of the public, see something on a Facebook group or they talk to someone in a coffee shop, whatever it may be. And, opinion now becomes fact and they don't have the time, nor should they necessarily need to. That's why we have elected representatives, but they don't have the time to review and read the staff reports to understand the full scope and story and background details. And next thing you know, kind of putting on my communications role here, we start to see, misinformation. We start to see people coming forward to council, writing letters to council, and very clearly, either they just don't have the full story, they don't understand the full story, or in some, the extreme scenarios, they're trying to twist things, right? And I think as staff, our job is to be able to have that relationship with council where, they're getting a million voices talking at them, but at the end of the day, we have that working relationship where we can have the space in the council chambers to talk based on facts and data and to have that healthy debate where they can make informed decisions. But it's a challenge. I mean, the town has turned off Facebook on our comments on our Facebook page for years now, simply because you can't manage it. It's it's so unfortunate, but you can't.
One of the things that, certainly is aligned with our goals is space, right? And there just are not enough spaces in the community that we can bring people together.
Yeah.
I
I mean, like community spaces.
Yeah, like, so you'll see when you go to Seniors Fitness, it's very crowded.
Yeah.
And there's such a hunger and appreciation of these, it's just one little group.
Yeah.
But, so there's lots of challenges with booking our limited space. We could be 3 times the size and fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with things that would help build social cohesion.
Yeah. Do you see any other challenges from a community perspective? I'm looking at your notes here, so I know the answer based on paper is like, I'm just thinking, even in the work that I've done with the library over the years, you engage with residents of all backgrounds and of all perspectives. You know, we hear from groups about affordability challenges, transportation related challenges, housing related challenges, income related challenges, so on and so forth. Do you have, you know, maybe a perspective you can share from, you know, your understanding of what the community may be facing? The council, again, in the context of municipal government, like what council should be aware of that maybe they don't know?
I don't know the exact numbers, but when I think about our social return on investment, which actually measures all the services that we provide under different categories. So entertainment, wellness, there's the 7, and culture, et cetera.
Okay.
And the measurement is literally what would it cost someone? And so when you work it backwards, so that people are accessing services and the number that we are serving, like what we are delivering, it's so high because so many people can't. It's not that they don't want to, it's just that there are far more people who can afford to do all the things a lot of us take for granted.
Yes.
And when we look at the computer use and the Wi-Fi use, right? So, you know, if you're a parent and you have 3 kids and they all have phones, that's 3 Wi-Fi plans.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, that's a lot of money. So a lot of kids come to the library and they're using, because, sorry, you don't have a data plan, you can only access it when you've got Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of nuances like that, but I think, we talk in blanket terms, but really understanding the demographics of a larger number of people in our community than one might think.
Yeah, and thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to tease out.
Yeah.
You know, not speaking for council, but I think what you hear generally is that this is a very educated, affluent community. And I think what we know and what we're trying, certainly council talked about this morning, this needs to be a community for everyone.
Mhm.
It needs to be respective of, you know, all ages, of all backgrounds, of all levels. And, you know, you talked to, I did a focus group session with the BVO, and again, not to give you any details, but the level of need in the community, I think, is greater than anyone realizes. And that's where I was going with this question, like, you know, being a public service organization, you know, you open up as a, you know, cooling center or a Wi-Fi spot, or, you know, you have youth using computers, or maybe someone, you know, using a computer type of a resume to try to get a job. Like, the library, in my mind, I think goes further and further reaching than likely what council understands, or what the, you know, broad community understands. Quite frankly. So,
And that's a challenge, since people don't know. When I first got here, I had no idea all the services, all the wonderful things that were happening. So many people that I know who have just moved out recently, or live in some of the outlying, you know, like Windfall and Mountain House, like they have no idea what's happening.
You know, you'll see in the seniors fitness that, because my background is healthcare, that there are people that probably wouldn't be able to access fitness if they had to pay for it. It's so important to keep active as you age,
Mhm.
so important. And if we don't provide services like that, then people are gonna, you know, be more debilitated, they're gonna end up in nursing homes.
yeah, pushes pressure elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all great points. And I think, you know, we'll get to, I'll kind of tease that a bit later. What opportunities do you see regarding the library and the relationship with the
Yes.
town and your services? But let's finish off question 2. What are the challenges related to the town as the corporation?
I still think affordability is a big issue. I hear of so many young people that can't find work that they can make enough to find a place to live.
Yeah.
And so if you're coming from a rural area, if you're young, especially a teenager, and you can only work at Foodland or something, there's no way that you could live on your own.
No.
And even transport, you know, having your own car and stuff is an expense that you may not be able to cover.
Absolutely.
So that whole side of it, from the town perspective, you talk about it being, service available to all, or a place for all, well, it's not.
I see in the town, there's a real reluctance for growth. There's a huge push to protect the environment, but if the town doesn't grow, I mean, the town is growing, but it's not growing in a very planned way. So I think that's a huge challenge, both on council's part and on the town's part, on the whole approval of development, and how do you keep that balance of having the growth happen in some semblance of some strategy, and also saving the environment at the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, we're the second fastest growing community through the last census, and certainly, you know, we anticipated that's going to slow given the, you know, changing landscape of things right now, but it's an attractive area, right? And people will continue to come, tourism will continue to grow, and, you know, the town of Blue Mountains today is gonna look, you know, very different than it will 40 years from now. So, you know, there is that need for balance for sure. Anything specifically about the trying to be pointed here, the town council, kind of the administrative functions, that you'd like to talk about?
There's one thing I always notice at council meetings, which drives me kind of crazy, is the degree to which it's structured, and very, well, I guess structured is the best word, but, you know, each council is allowed one question, and then you
Yeah.
come back to your second round of
Procedure bylaws.
procedural stuff. And, I've a number of times heard, incorrect information coming from counselor. As a staff member, you must be sitting there going, but you can't say anything until you're recognized, right? And I just find that very, very difficult and very frustrating, especially when I know they're talking about the library. And I'm thinking, oh, Jen's not allowed to say anything,
Yeah.
and Ryan's not, you know,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
you know, so how do you break into that process and bring it, have the right information out there from the beginning, rather than maybe a last minute, oh, by the way, 10 minutes ago.
When you have an engaged member of council that's on the board
Yeah.
to get the,
Text me.
yeah, get the right information in, right? You don't always get that opportunity though.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just the style of the mayor, or is it because of adherence to Robert's rules to an extreme degree, or?
In the absence of order, there is chaos.
Yeah, it's certainly, certainly related to Robert's rules of order.
Yeah.
I think it's also related to the procedural bylaw. And I mean, council as a whole has the ability to amend the procedural bylaw to add or remove things. So I think what you see today is largely, I think I can safely say, it's a reflection of what this council wants to see. And if they wanted to change things, they have the ability as a whole to update the procedural bylaw. So, yeah. So yeah, it's probably why I talk so much, because to your point, you know, you're sitting there and you hear things and you want to talk. So when I start talking, I have trouble stopping.
Captivating all your points. You got the floor.
But it depends on who the chair is too, right? Because these guys know when I'm chairing operations, I'm giving all the floor time to the staff. They wrote the report. They're the knowledgeable ones. Let them get it all out. And then I'm always looking at them. I know my colleagues have their hands up, but I'm looking back over at them, right? It's all in the style and the format of the chair as well. And that's difficult to manage when you're not the chair.
Lori, you had another?
Yeah.
Well, on a completely different level, Blue Mountains and Colin was very contiguous. And particularly in the, west is this way, east end, frankly, you don't really know where the border is. And I have a number of friends there who, and when they bought, all of a sudden it's like, they go to the Collingwood Library, and, oh, you're not my library,
Yeah.
where's my library? Oh, all the way over there. And so I think the importance of, and I'm sure you do, understanding the nature of these communities. There's nothing, it's a municipal boundary, there's a county boundary, and they're in the wrong place, in my opinion. So you have to find ways of working through that. And I know that you're trying, I probably want the MRFA, that's the whole point of that. But it's, it creates some confusion and difficulty for both communities.
Yeah, I mean, from a strategic planning, decision making, I mean, one of the portfolios that I work on is with a group of residents from the Craigleith area. And I can tell you, the needs of those residents are vastly different than the needs of residents in Thornbury, right? So as a community, we truly are a community of communities. And you have this, you know, different priorities, different needs. You also have different types of residents that live in different areas. You know, Craigleith is a very seasonal resident base. You have generally younger families in that area. So as you know, when we look at survey results, even through the strategic plan, we start to parcel it down and who answers, how did certain areas of the town answer the questions versus different age groups versus, you know, different kind of brackets. You start to see different results. So that's a point. Adam, did you want to say something about what we were talking before?
Relate to
I thought you wanted to jump in there.
Oh, no, I was gonna chime in a little bit on the governance piece of the side of things, but I'm like, you know what, I might be digressing from the focus.
Okay.
Yeah, so no worries. Yeah.
Okay, with that, we'll get into kind of question 3. Is there anything you think that the town should be doing differently or better? And I think this is where, you know, start to relate it back to the opportunities that you see as a library board in that partnership and the cohesion between the library and the town.
Well, that's where we really want you to support the expansion of, our GLAM services, so gallery, library, archive and museum.
Okay,
We've been a couple times. We're, just about to undertake a space utilization study just to make sure, how we can maximize the space that we have, but, we know that libraries, galleries, archives and museums are very important. We're very unique in that, I don't think there's many,
3 in Ontario.
3 in Ontario that have all those
Full
services. So, that's something that we just keep and we continue to bring it to, your attention every chance that we get.
And I think it comes back to the bigger question about understanding and integrating the value of what the program, the services that we provide into like the total town thinking,
yes,
right? Rather than, oh, it's just a building over here.
It's just books.
It's all of the services that we provide that literally can fill many different, fill many different services and needs.
Yeah.
And so it's if you say, what would we like to, thinking about a more integrated manner, while we are independent and standalone as an entity, our goal is the same. We serve the same residents. We need to, and so that thinking, if, the opportunity, I'll put it the other way. I think there's a huge missed opportunity for the town not to be fully building our GLAM, or looking at our opportunity to expand GLAM services, because it only delivers on the town's goals.
Yeah.
I guess would be the other way to look at it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It's also not a recent issue. This has been raised, I don't know how long ago, long before all of us got involved.
Maybe not.
And so report after report has said it, and there supposedly was support and agreement, but no action.
Yeah.
So this is a weakness that we find in our town council, that,
The memory loss.
yeah, the lack of action
Yeah,
on items.
and I mean, I know you're not thinking this, but I just want to say, I don't want to give you the false hope that anything is going to change from this process, but I think what I do want to give you some assurance on is that we'll make sure that this perspective is reflected back to council through our consultant, and that they're aware that, the board sees an opportunity for partnership and to help fill that need. Ultimately, the council does what they do, and I think there's a certain advocacy role that you have been playing and you will continue to, need to play into the future to make sure that is top of mind.
So one of the things that, we had talked about, and we sort of have in here, is more recognition from the town and more promotion from the town of the contributions the library has to the community, the services that the GLAM is providing. So in your high level of your strategic plan, mention of the library in there, the fact that the library wasn't really included when you started down this path is just something that we would like to see.
Absolutely.
The profile of the library elevated much.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
It's kind of leading into question 4,
Sure,
but, we would like to see more investment in cultural assets and spaces in the community, and we think we could be a sort of a vehicle for that. One of the things I just raised it a little while ago, is the schoolhouse. Like, it just sitting there, disintegrating, I think, and, it's got tremendous historic value, and, it's like, what's the phrase, like our community memory, or, this history is like, we forget it at our peril.
Yeah, most people don't even know it's there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think what's going on there too, just like Ravenna Hall, was the rates got set so high over time that, like, the Ravenna Hall, $168 for a Saturday afternoon, like, that's way too much money. So, and
doesn't get
then,
used, is that it?
then it falls into,
Disrepair.
well, not necessarily disrepair, but just misuse, or
Yeah.
it doesn't get, it's no longer used. And then it just gets ignored and forgotten.
Yeah,
Yeah, versus being leveraged and, opportunity to turn it into something.
So when we had the last budget discussions, I brought that up, and now the Ravenna Hall's down to $100.
Oh,
So, keep that in mind. I don't remember what the Craig Hall got reset to,
Yeah.
but it all had to do with something that got forgotten, right? And we don't want to forget.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's a great example, just, it's my own example, so I'll share it, specifically about public spaces. I worked for Clearview Township previous to coming here, and we had, well, they still do, they have 9 community halls, very much similar to that one, Evening and Brentwood and Sunnydale Corners and so on and so forth. And they were sitting underutilized, and they used to be used for celebrations of life and buck and does, weddings, and over the years, the utilization just started going down. So we created the idea of a festival around it. So we launched the Small Halls Festival,
Which is,
I don't know if any of you know it, but
which is famous.
the whole idea was to activate and program these halls. So it was 1 weekend a year where we had world-class entertainment, comedians like Ron James and bands, of which names I don't remember right now, but like really prominent Canadian bands, and we bring big entertainment into a small venue. And there was a bit of a fundraising effort behind that to get money to help renovate these spaces, but importantly, it got people through the door. And then when they thought about having their child's birthday party or retirement celebration, they thought, oh, I know this space, I can book this space and use this space. So just one example to show, like, there are opportunities and different ways to think about how to use these facilities. So kind of just teasing that out a bit more, maybe this will come through your own strategic planning exercise. When we talk about that investment in the cultural assets and spaces, what opportunities specifically have you talked
well,
about?
part of it is for people to be aware that these facilities are there and that they can be used.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ravenna Hall, I've been there for yoga classes and I've been there for, birthday parties. But not recently, because I think it got too expensive and people bailed.
Didn't you come to the breakfast though?
I did come.
You did come to the breakfast,
There you go.
yeah. So our community of Richburg, yeah.
So I think part of it is the visibility, so that people know that they're available for their use and what's involved in getting it. I don't know how part of it used before, just get a key, but maybe it's different now, but, so I think it's the whole promotion bit or marketing or making it known.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. I think, the other, I mean, specific to the GLAM.
Yeah.
It is the archives and museum. I mean, essentially, the only place that is holding literally the entire history of this region
Yes.
is our museum, the Gregory Depot. And so there's the great attraction, there's the service, we have programs, it's not a huge space. But I think for a town to realize that literally, if you want, and this example is, people talk about wanting a small town feel. We want to keep the small town feel. Well, perhaps we could be helping understand what that is by encouraging people to come and look at, our small town through the ages.
Yeah.
So there's, again, sort of thinking a little outside the box, but also recognizing what's there and what we have and what we, continue to have to financially support.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of artifacts. There's a
been
lot.
down there recently.
Yeah, so I think that it's just, it's really, sometimes, you see GLAM on a page, oh yeah, well, there's an archives and museum. It's like, literally, where else? Because if we don't have that.
Yeah.
I hope you have a big enough office. Because I don't know where all the, it's really having, again, that integration, and I don't know the answer, but
Yeah.
thinking
Well,
proactively, I guess.
No, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's such a special space. I mean, the town
Yeah.
can't do that and shouldn't do that. It needs to be the role of an organization like the library. But, so I'm hearing, there's an opportunity to partner with the town, space requirements, cultural heritage, that kind of preservation, general partnership between the town, making sure the library is integrated into town strategic planning, decision-making, making sure that the community and council understand the value of the library. Anything else that we haven't covered that you wanted to share?
Just 2 little examples of something that's been quite impressive on a personal level is that we have a writer in residence who's funded through New Brunswick, by the way, which is interesting.
Okay.
That's where she goes to school.
What?
That's where she goes to school.
Yeah, but I mean, it was great that we were able to get her. And we have a gardener, a master gardener in residence. Is that what we call them?
Yeah.
And I'm sure we could do more, but, it's just fabulous that we were able to pull that together. Now, this writer it's only a short program, our funding's only for a little while, but, there's just tremendous interest from the community in all sorts of cultural types of things that we can play a role, we do play a role.
Yeah, very cool. And is that a library initiative? Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just worrying a bit about time, because we've got an agenda and we also.
Sure, yeah, you know, we can move forward. I'm happy to stay for as long as you'll have.
No, it's all right.
So yeah, I think we'll jump into, I think we've talked about question 4, so we'll get into question 5. So what excites you about the future of the town? And we've talked about where everyone cares. We've talked about the partnership between the library and the town. What really gets you excited about this?
To do more.
To do more?
More.
Very cool.
Yeah, and we are taking control of our space, or trying to, by looking internally to make sure that we're as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
And we will be back, before too long with yet another request for, an expansion. Because we really don't wanna leave it, and then you've got a new council coming in and everything just takes so much time, but, that's what excites us.
Okay, very good. And with that comes the service to the community, so.
Yeah.
I'm happy to stay for as long and answer any questions, but hopefully that gives you a kind of a perspective related to the town's strategic planning process. As I said, you know, feel free to reach out to me, Adam, you know, you can email our consultants if you want to talk to them directly. We're working through the process with council right now. As I said, we just did the first workshop. There's going to be some background, kind of behind the scenes stuff happening throughout the rest of the summer. And then in early September, you'll see additional public sessions with council where we start to look at the draft vision statement, mission statement, and some of those strategic priorities. So certainly invite the board and Jen and anyone interested to attend those meetings and to keep engaged with council.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
We really
thank you.
appreciate you coming.
Absolutely. That's great. Thanks very much. Okay.
Julia alluded to it, but I want to emphasize the concern part.
Yeah, please. Yeah, sorry, I might have missed that at the end.
Yeah, we are concerned
We
that,
almost made it.
just about, that, you know, like the momentum of things get going and then, well, we're near the end, so we'll tap the brakes a little bit and we won't spend any more money. And then a whole new council will be elected and then we have to start all over again.
Yeah.
Like,
And is this
That's a
acutely
big
something that you feel as a library board? Like when you talk about the expansion, like is there something that this is rooted in?
well, it just feels like in previous, like I'm new to the board, but I think
Okay.
they asked before and, you know, things were slowly not happening. And, you know, then we started over with the new council and it's coming, you know, time's going by quickly and it'll be soon the end of this term.
Yeah.
And then nothing's happened yet. So
Yeah.
that's the concern.
We came in, when did we go? And because you were away and I had to do the presentation.
November 2023.
Yeah, and, we were told, oh no, you don't need an expansion. We want to see how well you're doing now. So we then invested in, and it wasn't just our idea, but the social return on investment. And that was a lot of work because it was a brand new program and we went back, like it took us probably 9 months to
It
get
was
that
huge. It was huge.
to demonstrate our value.
Yeah.
And, you know, pretty soon it'll be the end of the term. So I think we actually have some reserves.
Yeah.
So there are things we can do. I just don't think we should just keep waiting for permission for forever, right? Like,
Well, this might speak to a bit of a broader problem even at the town as it relates to looking at, you know, there's initiatives going from the planning stage to implementation, to whether it's construction or whether it's just even enactment of some type of program or whatnot, whereby that's kind of the sense I get is that it seems like you gain momentum on an initiative, which is gonna lead to the next step, and then whether it be a new term or whether it be even new staff or whatever it is, priority shift, and then you're back to and that's it. I mean, I'm sure there's many things to which I maybe was started beforehand, I'm not familiar with, and now you're looking at kind of picking up.
So that leads to the question of how does the town track its initiatives and their continuation to finish with each new either staff member or council, so that you have the trail and things continuing instead of just starting all over again all the time.
Just tracking the decisions.
You know,
And actions, yeah. So if something started, then how do you finish it?
Yeah. Oh, and I think certainly it goes back, like whether, and every, I think department's a little bit different in terms of how that tracking does proceed, but if I look at capital projects is a good example where,
Yeah.
some of these projects take multiple years to even get off the ground, and that's what we do encounter is that sometimes you get the design done, and then depending on budget or depending on other factors, maybe you're not looking at, proceeding with that project, say in a timely way. And then you do have staff turnover as well, that shift as to whether you have the capacity to even proceed with it, or it has to be kind of
So you
triaged
can
and.
look at your systems of how that doesn't happen, that things fall off the tracks. And it's the same with the new council, like how do you help to transition all your previous actions into the new so that there's some carryover and continuation.
Well, I think that's gonna be the big part of the strategic plan that, we didn't have a whole lot of time to dive into, but it probably maybe the part that I'm most excited about is dovetailing into the operating plan.
Yeah.
So seeing how this, you have the higher level priorities, how does that look for each department, each respective area in terms of how they draw that alignment to those priorities, but in turn, how that dovetails into budget and how that kind of informs your work plans on an annual basis, ensuring that once that's set in stone or that's locked into your plan, we can communicate back to council and say, well, this is not our work plan for this year, or to which if you want us to pivot, something else has to drop off. And through these operating plans, we could demonstrate, provide the transparency to say, you know what, this is going to be something that you're going to be competing with some other initiative.
So is that the CAO's role to ensure council stays on track with?
Yeah, no, that's certainly, I think from, I know whoever the new CAO might be in the future, that it's something that I think needs to be a top priorities in terms of navigating that. And that's, like I said, it's probably the most exciting part for me, even though it's maybe not the most visible at this point in time, but it is most important to ensure the strat plan is going to be effective, right? So.
Well, most of us have worked with creation of strat plans and implementing them and evaluating them, so we're waiting for the town to do the thing.
With the lean on the board here, yeah.
Did you want to say something? You had your hand.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to, what am I most excited about in terms of the future for, there's a lot of things that have been identified around the need for social cohesion, for support for youth, for support for seniors, for community space. These are all things that are in the library's purview. And we've worked pretty hard over the last couple of years to talk about what is a 21st century library. And it's not a book warehouse, right? It's a very active, community engaged organization that covers all sorts of different types of groups and activities and social needs. So we're a big partner for the town in helping to bring some of those things forward. So when you talk about the plans to, that to carry these things out, to draw the line, make sure one aligns with us.
Yes,
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well said. All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all
Appreciate it.
right. Oh, yeah, you guys have to carry the two phones, right?
I'm shocked that I haven't lost one, we work the other personal and whatnot, but.
Do you have like a pocket for the business and a pocket for the?
Not designated. Maybe I should do that, but,
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want to take a quick break?
If not, I'll go grab Bill, he's here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll keep
Following.
Okay. So we are going to
Adam.
jump to,
Done?
Let's follow up.
Thank you.
You know it?
Book me a meeting.
organization.
I gotta get on that.
Thank you.
We have an exciting update, a verbal update of Phil is coming to speak to us about the sewage odor issue and the solution, and you will be very pleased.
I'm good to get, well.
Yeah.
Was we supposed to do that here? What's that?
Julia, I'm just gonna run up to my car and get my tea there.
Okay. What? Did you see it? Strategic planning minutes, I'm not sure what. But we'll do them when we, yeah, we'll do them when we get to it. Yeah. 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 I think it might have just. I said it.
I guess they're still looking for us, not anymore.
It's still the
Yeah.
process. They haven't decided.
And it kind of gave me the impression it wasn't plumbing,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll back that, yeah.
but that's my interpretation.
I didn't know. I ate them in about 30 seconds. And then I was off to the next thing, so.
Oh, this is Phil. I don't think I've met you.
Nobody's met Phil yet?
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Of course.
I'll be brief.
Hi, Phil. So we're very pleased to, I had a sneak preview of what you're about to tell us, so, we'll let you,
Yes, so, I think this has been a.
Can I just provide a tiny bit of
Go ahead.
context?
Yeah.
So, because you obviously weren't at our last meeting, there were also a few members that weren't at our last meeting. So at our last meeting, I just briefed the board on sort of the odor that,
Right.
you know, because we've had community members reach out now, so I just wanted them to all be aware of what was happening. And at that time, basically the last update was that facility staff were working on a solution. The problem got a little bit worse. It got a little bit better and then it got a little bit worse. And then now we're at sort of the stage where Phil will discuss
Yeah.
what's going on.
So typically I step in when it's a large scale capital project and I initially left it to the facility maintenance staff to review the problem and after their preliminary investigation and repairs, it was brought to my attention that it's a much more significant issue than they had originally expected. I kind of had a feeling it was gonna be like that, unfortunately. So when I took a look at it, I realized it's not only, you know, a large scale capital work, but it's also an emergency project. So there's a few benefits of it being emergency. One is that we can start work right away without a standard procurement process. So typically we'd have to go for 3 quotes, you know, go through the whole tender process, you know, all that. In this situation, we can immediately reach out to vendors and start getting work done because we are sort of impacting the service in the building. And it's, you know, not a pleasant situation. Beyond that, it's a question of cost and budget. So cost, my estimation, this is in the range of $100,000. Not a huge job, but big enough that it will qualify a staff report. And I'm gonna have to go to council concurrently, so we can start and I can do the staff report, I can write it and then submit it to council for budget allocation from whichever area, it'll probably be from reserves or something of that effect. I'm not a finance guy,
So what is the solution?
so it's a full retrofit, a full gut. So we're gonna work within the confines of the brick walls, so where the footprint won't change. And that leads me to the second thing I want to talk about, which was the accessibility study we did a few years back.
The two can be worked together.
Yeah, so it actually works really well. I was gonna talk to that. And when the consultants reviewed the bathroom, it wasn't terrible. Like the washrooms here were, the original design did sort of had some good thought in terms of spacing and whatnot, but there were a few minor things that could be done. And now that we're in this position, we should take advantage of the full complement of work. So look at the report. I'll just give you a summary. Consultant said limited accessibility. We're looking at, in terms of entry, bar style push buttons to get in. We can probably accommodate that. The corridors leading into both washrooms have this sort of useless partition of wall, this sort of half wall that comes out. That limits turning radius for wheelchairs and people who are differently able. So we could probably get rid of that entirely. And then the lighting is really bad in there. So the shadowing for people who have seeing issues, they'll have a hard time to see the differences in color. Also, the consultant mentioned, so the AODA standard and there's the Rick Hansen standards, we took it all the way and they're talking about color contrast and texture and gradient. So I think we can take out the floors and we can put a more tactile surface so that when people are walking or if they have a cane or even a wheelchair doesn't slip if it's wet because the tile gets slippery. The floor and toilet partitions are both dark gray and lack contrast. So again, easy fix, but we're already there. We might as well do it, right? And something that we all knew, the urinals in both the men's washroom are not accessible. So they're both too high. Typically you have one that's low for either a child or a person in a wheelchair and one that's sort of standard height for an adult. Both of them are just and an incorrect height. So good time to fix it, given that the urinal is probably the root cause of the problem. The accessible stall in the men's washroom doesn't have the turning radius of 1,500 millimeters, so we'll try to accommodate that as well. Women's washroom, for whatever reason, is good. Again, it's just a function of the way the walls are separated. I don't think there's any purpose to that. The transfer space in both washrooms isn't quite large enough. The transfer space is kind of the space in between the two, and my plan, let's finish this first. Grab bars, generally in the right spots, remove the grab bars. All minor details that I think we should take care of with this project. Unity did the initial study. I think they should go ahead and do the architectural plan for this, given it's an emergency. They already have a good grasp of what's needed. I'll ask them to give me, concept drawings, like 90% drawings that I don't need for construction, because that'll take forever. And we're not changing anything structurally, so it really wouldn't be worth our effort, but just to make sure that they capture everything in the report, and then we'll
Great.
build it up.
Can I ask, Jen, what about gender neutral bathrooms?
Well, we do have the family washroom, which is essentially gender neutral. Most libraries, though, will offer both.
What, male, female, and then the family?
Yes.
So will you be looking at the family?
We're gonna maintain male, female, and our scope will strictly stay with that area over there.
Okay. Where's the family?
It's kind of next to the story tower and by the public printer.
Oh, right, okay, so that's, yeah.
That's gonna be, I haven't looked at it, and there wasn't anything with respect to that from the report, so I think that it's not the worst thing.
It's not.
No,
Okay.
It could be better, but I would say definitely.
The focus,
Something
Yeah,
we can work.
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not a priority,
Okay.
I wouldn't say.
Well, this is great news, and so, will it be done by the new school year?
So, I mean, I can't guarantee anything. We've reached out to a few vendors, and the problem now is that it's summer construction, so a lot of them have already booked their summers.
Yeah.
So, I've reached out to a few people we've worked with before, who I have a good relationship with, to see what they could do. The only thing is that this is, like I said, it's not a huge project. It's big enough that I capture it, but it's not big enough that someone's gonna say, hey, we're gonna put that off to take this on. So what I think is gonna end up happening is we're gonna get a small to medium-sized contractor who's gonna subcontract a lot of the effort where people are looking for jobs. But again, I think overall it's bad, but it's a good thing, right? Because we're getting an improvement. I think it's something we've wanted to do for a while, right? And this is kind of the impetus to get it done, push that we needed,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
This is a bit of annoying question, but I'm probably the only board member that will remember this. We were told in the past that the pipes had actually rotted out. And so my question is, are you replacing the pipes? Is this part of this project?
All IBP, the whole thing, all mechanical, electrical, plumbing will be replaced. And I struggle with that. I don't know if it is the pipes. I think the pipes are an easy answer because of odor issues. I mean, brass, if they're brass, that's fine. I just don't, I mean, it could be 100 years for brass to rot out like that. Like, so I think there's other issues, maybe construction issues, connections. I was told that the flange in the toilet was leaking as well. So I think it's a combination of issues. And that's why I kind of have to help, because the facility maintenance group will typically, take a look at the single problem and then fix it, try to maintain a tight budget. But like in this situation, we can't do that. So everything's gonna get overhauled, the whole space.
So I have an operational question for you, Jen. So if the bathrooms are being renovated and they're not accessible, what's the backup for?
So, well, right now, we actually have had to block off the men's washroom. And so because the family washroom isn't technically accessible in terms of it doesn't have the automatic door openers, we followed the AODA. We've made sure that there's public notice, and that there is an alternative. So that's sort of how we're handling it right now. If for any reason, we have to close off both washrooms, that'll be a little bit of an issue, but we still do have that one public bathroom. And then we've already sort of behind the scenes been working with facilities staff to make sure, okay, if for any reason we need to block off the gallery and entire side of the building, but the library is still accessible, what events are happening in the gallery, can we redirect them to the BVCC? And if not, we may have to cancel, but we're definitely kind of behind the scenes trying to make sure that we're working with the community and accommodating as much as we can. But it's really kind of to be determined what.
Yeah, we don't have anyone,
Do.
a contractor yet. So Aaron reached out to a couple remediation experts because there is mold. I mean, this is it was a persistent, an existing problem before we found it. Like I said, I have a couple of contractors that I know that have, like the depot, for example, they work in the depot. My biggest concern is timing. Like there's two things I want speed, and I want to be done this summer. Because if we get into winter, now we're gonna have, blocking the entryway, and even if we have to bring portable washrooms, because we can do that, we can bring, trailers if we have to. I know it's not the best option, but it is an option. In the wintertime is not the best approach, so, I'm still at the stage 2 of this whole
Okay,
thing.
yeah, thank you. Okay, that's
It's nice
great.
to see action.
It's great to see action. We really appreciate it.
This is just another shining example, everybody. Like, hey, I call him Mr. Wonder Phil, because this guy, he is my every confidence, if that means anything. I know, he's starting to blush now. But no, this is another shining example of how well Jen is working with the rest of staff and how, we're moving forward, this has been an adversity for years.
Yeah,
So now we're pulling the trigger and we can move forward. He's got everything he needs and
Jen's easy to work with too. I mean, I think that, honestly, it's not, there's been no, people resource sort of issues. It's all just the physical problems we're dealing with. Yeah, exactly.
okay, so I'm gonna move us on. I really appreciate you coming.
thank you, officer. Have a snack.
Thanks for acting quickly.
Thanks for acting and thanks for coming to share.
Yes.
Hey, not all heroes wear capes, all right?
Thanks.
You, Bill. We'll meet soon.
Yes,
sir.
All right, okay, so we'll go back down to our agenda. We have no deputations. And we received no public input, correct?
Yes.
No correspondence. So we'll move into our strategic plan updates and action items. So first is the action plan. So here is the one pager with highlights, replacing that long report that Jen had to do for us. So just open the
I
discussion.
can speak a little bit to it.
Yeah,
The one big change from the last meeting is that the sort of expansion conversation has been marked yellow versus green. I think maybe once we get into the MRFA discussion too, later on in the agenda, it will sort of feed into why that isn't necessarily green. But I did fill in a couple of other highlights. One since the last meeting was the Arts Walk was a success. So it was a success in terms of passing on the leadership, working really collaboratively with the new leaders. I would still I wasn't actually at the event, but based on sort of photos and speaking with staff and members of the community, it really felt like even though we weren't leading the event, we were definitely still the hub. So we had 9 different artists that were on our property. We also were hosting children's activities. It was a disgustingly hot day, so our staff were amazing and pivoted, started making lemonade, water. So we were really the hub. If you needed to cool down, you come in here. You need a drink, you come here. So I think it worked out really well. I'm not sure if anyone was anyone.
Yeah, I went to it. Yeah. Well, actually, I did half of it because it was too hot.
Yeah,
I mean, Parks were good up to here.
yeah.
But yeah, it was, certainly not as many vendors this year, but I was actually really impressed with how many people we did have, given that, it was just a little late in getting coordinated. But it seemed a success. So it'll be good to hear how Fairleaf and
or not Quigley, sorry, Clarksburg and Thornburg VIAs and I think the other, but yeah, definitely great. The exposure here and support was great.
Yep,
At a much lower cost than last year.
yes.
Well done.
So this isn't actually reflected in the highlights, but I'm just looking at number 3 under empowering services. There's mention of our social return on investment. The Ontario Library Service actually reached out to us recently, and we're going to be one of a few libraries, I don't know the other libraries that were selected, to sort of help them trial out an updated version of the Vault. So I'm gonna try and have that to them by the end of this month. But it's a combination of, yes, we're using the updated template, but we're also providing feedback on the template itself, and then even as much as sort of the graphics and all of the other supporting documentation that they provide to libraries. So I think that'll just be it's a good partnership, and we're just even more directly involved. The former CEO actually helped develop the toolkit, so we're just kind of maintaining that relationship and involvement in its development. So that was random. It just came up. Not something that we're working on. I did add in Lori's representation on the Craigleith Community Working Group as part of our community advocacy efforts. So that's in there now.
Next time.
And then just in terms of our charitable status at the last meeting, for those who weren't there, I'm about halfway through it. Yeah, it's a lot more work than I thought. I haven't made a ton of progress since the last meeting. But we did have a late last meeting in June, but that is ongoing.
Any other comments or questions?
I like it, thank you.
Yeah, great job.
The only other comment I'll make is number 1 in community hubs. I think even after Phil's update, even though that was sort of an unplanned project, it'll really feed into helping further advance the accessibility items that we're wanting to implement in our spaces. So we're definitely on track with that one.
Yeah, good news. Okay, thank you. So now we move into let's keep a short discussion, I guess, on the multi-use and the MRFA next steps.
I'll just provide commentary on the next steps,
Okay.
and then it is a discussion item, so if the board wants to discuss or reflect on what happened yesterday, I guess now would be the time. But my understanding of the next steps, I obviously have yet to meet with the project team to maybe do a debrief on, how the final report was received and what we're thinking as a group. But what I do know for sure is that there will be a staff report that will go to our council, and that will be the time where council will make a decision on whether or not they want to move forward with phase 2 of the MRFA, or what that will even look like. So
Just our council.
yeah. Yes. And so calling this process will be a little bit different because they have a steering committee that's kind of driving some of their work, but the staff report that will be from the Town of the Blue Mountains staff in collaboration with the library CEO will go separately to our council. And so I'll be working with Ryan on developing at least the library's perspective.
Do you have an estimated timing at all on that?
I don't, but I imagine with council taking a break until the end of August, it won't be until the fall. So as soon as I have any sort of idea, obviously I'll inform the board, whether or not it's just informally by email, or if timing wise, if it works out that we have a meeting. But it will not be a surprise to the board when the report's coming, and I may also need some advice in terms of what our recommendation will be. The other piece that I still need to sort of work out with Ryan and understand a little bit better is the recommendation going to include, if we're all on the same page, is it a recommendation from both town staff and the library board, or procedurally does that have to happen separately? If for any reason though, the town staff's recommendation is is not serving, the library board well, then I think procedurally, it might mean that we have to do a deputation. So I'm not entirely sure what that will look like. But the main thing is that the next time there is a MRFA agenda item on a council agenda, that is when a decision will be made. It's not for information. So that will be a really important meeting, I think, for at least the future of our expansion conversation.
So I think our challenge is then our council will make a decision and for this Collingwood council.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again?
So our council will make a decision, yes, no, whatever. And then where does the Collingwood council fit in on that
Oh,
logic, like on sort of the progressive steps
Yeah.
that we move forward? I mean, I don't expect an answer, but I think that's gonna be a challenge.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, you wanna answer that?
Sure, I can tell you that it'll be updated, it's the way everything goes, or it'll be up to the individual councils to have their decision. Whether to move together or not, and it takes both councils to want to move forward together to make it happen. And if one or the other, or both say no, then we're not moving together. However, as I've mentioned anecdotally, right, there's still value in the work that's been done.
Yes.
There's plenty of value in that. And it's not, I hope it doesn't become, put on the shelf up nice and high, tucked away. It's got actionable items, right? There's work that can be done. But we just, I think everybody got the
And
gist
I
of
think
it.
for us, the information, to your point, it'll be part of the information we use for our strategic plan.
Yeah.
Because it is what the residents have said they're looking for and their priorities, et cetera. So
And it's recent.
important.
And
Yeah.
Sean,
Yes.
like there could be a proviso, I don't know if that's the right word, but an escape clause. That if both councils say, yes, we want to move forward, but they can't find a suitable piece of land, then they could still bail from the.
Yeah, that's where that memorandum of understanding would come in, where if at any time either could leave, right?
Because that's a big piece of it, they didn't say.
That's the largest.
land.
That is the largest piece of it all, is that needing 10 to 22 acres of land.
And they had it really low down on, they didn't even have that, I don't think, on the priority list, George mentioned it near the bottom. But there were so many steps before that, but if they can't find the land, then all the other steps are moot points.
Land would be step one. Now, what was nice that I think that my observations of Collingwood Council that they weren't too happy about was that the consultant said, sorry if I'm overreaching and I don't mean to block you out, but the communities of Collingwood and the town of Mountain said Craigleith is the place.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Collingwood did not like hearing that, but that was the consensus. The consensus being the consensus between the two communities, Craigleith's the place to put it. Hooray. But, the thing of the next part was, that's why my question was, it says, okay, but you said we need 10 to 22 acres of land. Where is it, right? Well, they didn't identify that.
Did the T's please property come up at all? I don't know.
No, so that wasn't identified, that wouldn't fit the model, because that is about 18 acres. However, right now we've got it we're trying to move forward with the long-term care. I think a long-term care facility is far more of a higher value asset to this town and to everybody, but that's 3 acres out of there, but then the rest of the land has to be figured out for the hazard land from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. They need to get back to us with a full assessment, and that won't be till the fall.
So what's gonna happen? Also, the Children Day Racket Initiative is.
Yes, that's been identified as well. Yeah. So we can't go shoehorning all these things into one piece of land. Can't exactly stack them on top of each other. I wish,
It's right there on the border.
but
It's all the timing.
but we also have to remember the road work that's gotta happen there too. And we don't know when that's happening or what that's gonna be.
And there's no other useful land in that neighborhood at all. It's all been
Not that we own, no.
grabbed or something already. Yeah. So,
Where But in Clearview, then,
Clearview chose not to be part of our study. We extended the olive branch to all of our neighbors. But anyway,
What about Meaford?
we asked them, they said no.
Store land, what's happening with that?
171 King, still sitting vacant.
Is it for sale then?
No,
No.
they're not declared it surplus.
Long-term care won't fit there?
No.
So I think the consensus was that, I think by both councils, was we need to decide if where the land, the location does come first. And so I think that will be a deciding factor. Both councils were very clear on their. But there is, before saying, yes, we're gonna join together, we need
Yeah.
to say, is there even a possible piece of land that would satisfy those?
Yeah,
because if it's on the other side of Collingwood, why would the town of Vermont?
Yeah, and if it's on,
But also-
if it's in Lower Bay, why would Collingwood say
Yeah.
yes?
also though too, right, this is where things, the lines got blurred by the consultants.
Yeah.
Because this was a joint feasibility assessment. Never did we say we want to be partners with Collingwood to build the building. We were just partnering on the feasibility assessment. They blurred the lines, and so, because that means that they can continue with phase 2, 3 to 7 to keep getting paid.
Or did the respondents blur the line?
Yeah,
I seem to indicate that.
but the questions kind of led you to that.
Yeah, they were like.
They're kind of
Yeah.
leading questions.
Yeah.
Can I ask, on the staff report then? So will the staff report, or could the staff report include, various what ifs? So if council then decides, yes, we support, join one, and then Collingwood says no,
I would imagine,
would there
because
be
if we,
different scenarios in the report?
no, I doubt it, or I would suspect
Agree.
highly unlikely, because Ryan's just gonna bring option A, or option 1, 2, or 3. Option 1, do nothing. That's always option 1, sorry. Option 2,
We used to call
Partner-
that status quo.
status quo, that's, but option 2, partner with the town of Collingwood and see what happens, or option 3, say thank you very much and we'll file this.
Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe,
I can't speak for him, sorry, Jen.
that's okay. As the discussions kind of evolved, I think the direction that maybe I could seek at this time, unless I'm premature, would be in my conversations with Ryan on this staff report, regardless of whether or not the MRFA will include library services, would the library board want to continue to be involved in those discussions regardless?
Depends on what you're calling library service. We're talking about community space, the programming space, things that we do see part of library service, just not what might be traditionally considered library service. But I would be more inclined to say yes, because if you're talking about team service, makerspace, social cohesion opportunities. That was my information, that we go on to that conversation.
Sorry, I'm not quite sure. Are you asking us to say, yes, we want to continue if the town does? Sorry, I'm just a little unclear.
Well, because, so if council says, yes, we want to move to phase 2, the second part of that would be, well, basically it would be, how do we craft the motion, the recommended motion? So Colliers, the way that they crafted their motion, it doesn't explicitly say to involve the library board. But if council says, yes, we want to move forward, then they would then decide whether they want to, with the way that Collier's motion is crafted, whether they want to invite the library board to participate, and then the library board could say yes or no. But hypothetically, the staff report that comes directly from staff could modify that a little bit and actually say, if we knew while we were crafting the report that the board was actually interested, that the recommendation is to, like, or one of the options would be to move to phase 2 with the library board.
I would say so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've just finished saying how important, how aligned we are with the town, how we're great delivery for them and their plans. So, yeah, I think we have to be involved with these. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you.
And who knows, right? Like, even if there isn't specifically a library at this point, there might end up being.
I think regardless, our ability to provide the services
I should suggest that we'll be involved and add that extra help to them. What might be a steering committee, what might be whatever form it takes.
Because I think we should have more than just book returns.
I think it would be a really good step too in ensuring that the library board is always thought of in larger
Yes.
community planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to say too, just while we were talking about location, from the library's perspective, is Clearview, Wasaga Beach, and Meaford all already have brand new libraries.
Yeah.
So from like our involvement in that study, and there was a lot of back and forth about how the other communities were represented. I always, like, in my mind, was just focusing on library and whether it made sense. But from a partnership for a MRFA, including library services, it actually, in my opinion, makes sense that Collingwood and Blue Mountains would be, our libraries at least would be talking and having that conversation about shared library services.
Was your colleague from Collingwood, was she in the audience?
Yes.
Did you hear anything from her after?
Yeah, we debriefed.
Does she,
Oh.
the third floor?
Does she share the same viewpoint that the counselor did that said we have a third floor we can expand to?
I don't know if I can really speak to whether she shares the same viewpoint, but I can say that when they built that library, that was the intention, that at the time, whoever built it, whoever the CEO was and whoever the CAO was and members of council, the intention was they built a 3-story building so that down the road, when the library needed to grow, it could grow to the 3rd floor. Whether or not that's the reality now,
Okay.
I think is a little hard to say because, and there's already town departments on the 3rd floor. The town already is in need of additional space for offices. So, and then the like operating a 3-story library would be, in my opinion, an operational nightmare. But that was the intention when the facility was built. So.
They gave a lot of examples of existing verbs or whatever, but there didn't seem to be one that was multiple communities that also included a library. Like there was one for sure with multiple communities, but it didn't have a library in it. So we need to dig or maybe reach out to.
They only had the one example, and wasn't it that the MRF that was out west?
Yeah,
BC.
And there was
Yeah.
no library.
Alberta.
In Alberta,
Yeah.
okay, that was the last,
Yeah,
yeah.
didn't know we were to dig a little deeper and see if there is such an example of two communities sharing a markup. Well,
I,
used to go to the library.
yeah, I bet, I think it's gonna take its path. I'm even more convinced that we need to take our path and eventually there will be some alignment
Mhm.
somehow.
Yeah. Totally
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah, because the consultants, obviously, they had no idea what, like, they knew what they knew, but they didn't know well enough the complexities involved with having 2 municipalities building and then incorporating library services. They have no idea.
I'm
Like,
not sure. I thought
I don't think they had any clue as to what that would involve and the level of complexity would be to have 2 library boards then governing.
well, no, because they seem to prefer the idea of a separate corporation.
But
Which,
you still need library boards.
Yeah, the library boards
Still
still-
legislative requirements for boards.
Yeah,
yeah, true.
so
You can't get out of
on the
that.
legislative requirements, I don't know if they really extend to sharing.
That's
I
a
don't-
good point.
But anyway,
Anyway.
I don't think they knew that. I don't think that was part of it. The lines got blurred, but we'll
Yeah,
go through.
we'll,
We'll untangle it later.
yeah, I mean, the
fall.
worst thing for us would be almost to be thinking that all of our expansion would be handled through a MRFA and we'd be stuck waiting for
Yes.
the politics and the 20 years and the whole,
And you talk about the whole cycle again.
Yeah.
Also coming back.
yeah.
Back to the concern of a
Yeah.
strategic plan.
Okay, all right. So thank you. That was a good discussion. Jen, I'm gonna move us to your quick update on the Climate Action Fund.
Okay, the round 2 projects were announced, so we did award funding to 12 different projects across, Grey County, Grey Bruce. There's more details on the project page on the town's website, so I won't go through, the diversity of the projects, but we were definitely really impressed with they're all so different, in really meaningful ways. So, if you are interested in learning more about those projects, it's just the www.thebluemountains.ca/YCAF, and it'll take you right to the 12 projects that were supported. We are also planning an orientation and meet and greet we're hoping September. Both, it'll be 2 hybrid sessions. One would take place at the library, one would take place in Owen Sound, and then there would be sort of that virtual option. And the intention is to bring together all of the projects that were supported, make connections. They can sort of learn about all of the projects, and then we'll inform them on the next steps in the reporting and all of the technical boring stuff. So the mayor will also be involved in that as well.
That's great. Okay, thank you. So, we'll move on to, the space utilization study, the third, draft of the RFP. So the last meeting, we received direction to really just focus this on, our board discussion on the, project scope of work and deliverables, et cetera. So we'll leave the whole complexity of the RFP document itself to Jen to work with the town. With her name is Serena, yeah.
Green Wilgers, yeah.
Yeah. So the background is pretty similar, I think, to what you saw. The project scope of work. Now, remind me why did we bold some of this or yellow highlight?
So that was me. The reason I did that was those were things that I added.
Oh, okay. Since, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be up for discussion as well.
Yeah, so Joanne and I worked on this and then, then we shared it with Jen, who's okay, makes sense. So project scope of work, stakeholders is pretty important. So we put that right up front. I remember when we did sort of space utilization or process flow work in hospitals, if you didn't involve the nurses, they just move everything back the way it was before. So, engagement is pretty important. We've got the piece on assessing current space utilization and exploring opportunities for reconfiguration.
So I understand when you go back to the engaging stakeholders, I like that last point about identify strategies to ensure accessibility, inclusiveness, and equitable participation. Because if you look at the youth was not a big target group for the questionnaire. So I think that's a great addition there.
Yeah, that's good.
So the difference between those 2 bullets is one is about the methodologies for engagement as if they're described. The second is about how to attract the stakeholders.
How you make sure that you included all of them.
Okay, I didn't read that as the difference. So I suggest maybe adding the word identify engagement strategies to ensure accessibility.
Okay.
The strategies, I thought was the service that we focused with.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
that's a good.
And it's not just, puzzle, but definitely agree, staff absolutely has to be in the stakeholder group and probably a few others. But I'm not, would you mind talking a bit more about the patrons and the community, which is the purpose of that stakeholder?
I think my sense is it's just good practice. People have made suggestions like, why is there a tree and a code farmer? So who knows what other ideas that people might have. I mean, we'll certainly would hear from parents about the children's area.
So is it identifying how people are actually using the space
Yeah,
to inform the study?
yeah.
That was my understanding.
Are you just simply that this is, we have the engagement or we have this information? I'm just wondering what you're, are you just wondering if it's information already have?
What do we hope to gain from it?
Why are we asking, into the groups for input?
Well, we make, yeah,
Because we're talking about arrangement of, floor space, basically.
yeah,
But if the comment was, how are you using it and how do you think you might like to use it? I think that is valid.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a horribly complex piece of input, but it just seems that we're asking for input internally.
And these are just points for an RFP, so like it's gonna be granular, right? It's gotta be fairly,
Well, maybe even some EGs about the stakeholder groups, because I heard you say parents, maybe teens, if you're hoping to address teen groups.
For teachers who bring their classes in.
yeah, teachers,
It doesn't have to be comprehensive, but some
Yeah.
ideas around who you try and target.
yeah, and I'm looking at this with fresh eyes. I'm not sure the board needs to be. Do we need to have input?
We have input just because we're the board and we're going to be approving.
Yeah.
I think we need to be one of the.
Interviewed
stakeholder
as,
groups.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, all we would, we would say we need another room.
cause I can tell you my answer would be, I don't know, whatever you say, right? Like,
So maybe take board off, but use some examples of
we govern,
parents,
so.
parents.
If we have anything to say,
Teachers.
we can, because of activities that we've been involved in outside.
Right.
So then it's together, so
Yeah, then
then,
you're a community member, not a board member.
yeah,
Yeah.
so then you're
You're-
part of those other groups.
Yeah,
you're-
okay.
You're taking off your board member hat
Yeah.
and you're putting your sun hat on and you're
Yeah.
out there doing yoga, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
That's probably the best lens, is to say, what are the programs that we run? And so if there's a writers group, if there are, the categories of programs that we run, because the different spaces. So
Plus,
the
there's a-
programs or the reading programs.
as I say too, right, just so we can, I mean, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but when it comes to like the way we do, like with RFPs, we might give like a granular input, but when it comes to the specifics, that's later, right? Like and we're also at the kind of a case in point as to our corporate, our discussion earlier. We shouldn't be micromanaging this. It's, that's up to staff to work, right? And they'll bring it forward. And I I just hope I'm being open about this I get it. I understand because we're also damn passionate about this place and we want the best thing going for it. I get it. But I just hope that makes sense,
Yeah, I
right?
think if I hear what you're saying, then really what we should be saying is, great question, let's clarify which groups we mean.
Yeah.
And even now, I would just say from a consultant perspective, if you put a range of numbers, because frankly, I'm gonna give you a number and assume it's 20 stakeholder groups I have to have interviews with, but it could go, realistically, might be 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Their time, how much time are they gonna have to give in? So I'm just on the other side would just be, you can give the examples or just put an approximate number, just.
Plus Serena's gonna run, this has been run by Serena or is going to?
She's
An
seen
earlier
a few
version.
drafts, she
Yeah.
hasn't seen the
Yeah.
most recent
So
though.
Serena is also our in-house procurement guru for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So she's got the experience.
A couple other things to bring to your attention there. So we've got, exploring opportunities for reconfiguration, also highlighting trends. So what's going on out there, and we're hoping that, where we're looking for consultants that had done some reconfiguration, similar projects within the last 5 years, Jen, you've suggested, I think that makes sense. This could be a bit controversial, but, you think about the fact that that courtyard is not well utilized. So is there a way to spruce it up? Do we need to cover it?
Yeah.
Cover it? Do we need to?
Have them give us their assessment.
Yeah, like what could be done in there?
And I can tell you that tree, when it was planted, was not that big. It was very cute.
It's actually not even a safe space right now because of the, stone and stuff. It's all uneven, so it's easy tripping hazards.
But when it started,
I know,
It-
because it's changed so
it
much.
just got away from
Yeah,
us.
now we know some people are very attached to the courtyard, so with any project, but, you know, we're talking about something modest. We're also looking at, we talked a bit about this, was keeping it within 3 years, because we still know we need a more major, something, new site, bigger on our footprint. My thinking is, this is not only gonna allow us to survive until we get more down the road on that, but it's also really good to show that we're really interested in looking at what we can do differently before we start asking for more.
So this is not looking at expansion.
No, because we had talked about that at the last meeting. It had sort of morphed a bit and that leads us into a more political, where we have to, you know,
But maybe, and I think I saw it somewhere in here about the, amount of space that we're supposed to have per
a root flow,
size of population.
that is in there, I
It's in our
think.
development charges.
I mean, that would be part of it.
So they could come back and say that to meet your
Yeah.
other needs, you should have this much more space.
Yes.
But not tell us it's out there. They should just say you need X amount of space, which then would give us a good launching pad to then say, yeah, we need to do something
Yeah,
out there.
This was just to show us that we're being fiscally responsible and we're trying to make the most of what we have as a first step.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
originally I was saying, oh, why are we limiting ourselves to the existing courtyard? Maybe we shouldn't say that, but we should because it's within the footprint.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
that
like
was my thinking too, when I was reading through it.
Now, I will point out that, Jen, you are meeting with, do you wanna talk a bit about the meeting you have scheduled with?
I do have a meeting with town staff in a week to talk about expansion.
So this
So-
could all be moot.
At your request or at their request?
It kind of came out of a meeting that I had with one of our directors. I've already been talking with finance, when we were going over the budget process too, just to see, you know, what land is it, like, just sort of having those high level conversations and kind of getting some advice from them too. I don't know where the conversation will go, but I imagine, part of it will be, in the town's budget process, they're aiming to have everyone do like a 10-year capital budget. And so my question to finance was, well, do we include library expansion? Because it is identified in the DC study, and the answer was yes. So part of that will also be, how do we fit that into the town's long-term financial capital
Yeah.
projections?
So,
You need to establish sort of a hierarchy, like, if we have two, I'll say 10,000-foot branches versus what do you have to do if you just are one? So our preference is the two, second choice is
Yeah.
expansion here.
And we kind of were talking about that at one point too, but yeah, we'll see. At least it'll be an opportunity for me to sit down with various departments and get different perspectives, the finance perspective, how does this fit into larger community services planning, the CAO, so it'll just be kind of a high level discussion, I imagine, but
I think,
and then I can kind of brief them on the space utilization and what we've been working on. I have talked a little bit about it informally, but I think it'll just finally be sort of a space where we're all in the same room and we can talk about,
Mhm.
you know, what the board's priorities are, what our upcoming projects are,
that's
and how
great.
that all sort of fits together.
Forward steps. I think the space utilization thing though, back to it, I think it's a fantastic initiative on our own. We don't have to ask anybody's permission,
Right.
right? And why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we maximize the space where we can? Doesn't mean we can't maximize our utilization and do an expansion. I think it's a fantastic initiative, especially cleaning up the courtyard and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Well, no, and I think it shows that we've done our due diligence before going forward, saying. need
we
more space.
wanna, you know,
And
$1 million.
And it shows engagement and connectivity with our user groups too, that are utilizing our space on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah, so you'll show them this document.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing, I wanted to, get your point on, so this will be handled through Jen and the town, but we, had talked about selection criteria, the points, cause the board felt we wanted to have some input into that. So see what you think about this, previous experience and qualifications 25, understanding 25, community engagement, maybe that should be staff and community engagement or just engagement?
Well, if you're talking community for this project, staff would be included in that
Okay.
community. That's
Okay.
where I would read that.
Okay, and then innovation and best practice. At 10, so that brings us to 75, and then pricing at 25%.
So there's no previous scoring metric for the library? There wasn't any? No previous scoring metric?
Like included in the drafts that we.
No.
No, did we ever do
In
an
general.
RFP and have a scoring?
Matrix?
No, I did compare to another library that did a similar study though.
It was great, because then your benchmark.
Yeah.
The
That's great.
weighting too, even though some of this has changed since the last time I spoke to Serena, the first draft and the weighting of things, she did give me advice, and there were certain things she thought, ooh, that's weighted way too high. But she hasn't seen this.
Yeah, so there may be a little bit of back and forth.
Can I just ask, should we just add the word public library / FLAM? I think, where we say in 4.1,
This is an internal document anyways, right?
sorry, thank you. No, let's see this, don't know what the criteria is, will it not? Consultant?
The consultant. If you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are your criteria, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, sorry, it was just more to trigger to me that the importance of that understanding, not just, yeah.
well, it is just,
Or you do it like, oh, yeah, so,
maybe do you want to just say public library and gallery design, or,
sorry.
because we've elsewhere.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then timing, we're hoping we can get this issued by the end of the month. Now, is Serena back from holiday?
No, she's not. But she has another staffer, that I could consult. I haven't worked with, yet. I'm just gonna double check.
I think for us, the question is, sorry, we had a presentation in there. So,
No, we took those out because we will not be involved in, the board will not
no,
be.
it's the final, right, it's the final presentation, sorry, I just was over there. So I think for us, again, I think it's just more a question, I mean, you're gonna worry about the logistics of the deadline, but calling out that we're trying to get the 2nd of December, to have something in place by 2nd of September, so that third week. Right, I'm just thinking just for us to know that we're obviously trying to get this before.
Yes.
So if you have that in the repairs in the washroom, but if you have a short timeline, you may have to settle for lower quality
Yeah.
workmanship, because big companies will already be booked for big projects. So he mentioned that you might have a smaller operation that will subcontract without and get whoever will apply the job, which happened.
You know what? This is our ideal timeline. It may not work quite like this.
If you extend it.
And you know what, the funds that we would be using to pay for this are not fiscal year funds, they're that reserve with that money for projects like this, so.
So,
If it-
if I have a comment, and then is there a quality pool of consultants that can do this, or, because maybe you want to put your proposed timeline, get a timeline. Because I know dealing with consultants that look at that and go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put in a proposal because that's.
Because I can't make it. And so even if you look at it, you're looking at it for 2 months, so I've got what, a month and a half to do this, I can't do this in a month and a half.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't want us.
Tentative
I
timeline?
want it to be as soon as possible. I don't want us to have to settle for inferior.
Yes, yeah,
Quality because.
okay.
we don't want to scare everybody.
So that can be for, I guess you to discuss with purchasing? 'Cause-
The other option, well, there's two things I wanna say, and this is kind of throwing a wrench in everything that we've done so far. But if we go back to the board's purchasing policy, I think it's called the finance policy. We don't have to use the town's process. So if it really depends on, like, if we wanted to try and see, are there consulting firms that can do this work in this timeline? The board could choose to just select somebody or get some quotes and reach out to specific consulting firms. And then if that didn't work, we could go through the whole RFP process with the town. That's an option. Like, we don't have to follow the town's process.
Sorry.
Do we even know if we choose which kind of process?
No, I can pull it up right now.
I read it that we can choose to use the town's process or not. If we do our own, and it might be dollar specific, we still need to do,
We need to reach
we still need to have 3 quotes.
So we still
I
need the
think
same metric.
From a purchasing perspective, if we wanted to, if there was a consultant within the town's,
Yeah, validated.
validated
list
vendor
or whatever
list,
it is.
that we were like, okay, you know, I think that way we could go with, but I think for us, I believe we still, I mean, regardless, if it's our process, and I think we would want to anyway, but we would still have to do an RFP process.
Well, we would, but it's just, can we make it a bit more efficient?
So if we don't use the towns,
Yeah,
this is the
over
process.
$5,000. Yeah.
So there is an option down here.
Sole sourcing and sales.
Yes, the sole sort, yeah, that one I'm looking at.
Well, that's,
items.
we don't think it'll be under 25,000.
The way I interpret that is if it's over 25,000, I just
Oh,
need permission
okay.
from the board.
Yeah, okay.
But that's the thing, the town way is, you're casting a bigger
More
net.
competitive.
There's more competitive nature out there.
Yeah,
And I would just feel more comfortable using the town than us making a decision on sole sourcing, just.
Yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable with sole sourcing, but it comes back and bites you all the time.
I feel like.
There's something in between the two, where we distribute it to the key vendors that we know are engaged in.
We can get 3 quotes.
Get
Yes, we could do that.
And do we know that? Can we name the key vendors in this field and libraries?
I can think of 2.
That Brandon that I had the meeting with, didn't he have some sources that he could give me?
I can, actually, that's a good point. I can reach out to him. I can think of 2. The board's worked with one before. I didn't work here though. I've worked with them though at a different library. I'm thinking of Lighthouse.
So I think, I would just suggest from all the things that are on your plate,
Yeah,
and in terms of like who and how to actually implement an RFP, all of the administrative side of things, if we
It
could
falls
use
to
the
you.
town's tools, I personally feel that like it's a better use of time for you to be reviewing the final results, and if we can cast a wider net even through that.
I would say too, you've already invested
Yeah.
quite a bit, especially working with Serena. How many drafts you've done
Yeah,
with Serena?
I feel like I'm just with that.
And other objects,
The optics wise, well, why would you waste my time
yeah,
if you're not gonna?
and we keep talking about we're a partner, or work with us,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah,
We should stay the course.
okay. Makes sense, I do.
Just maybe expand the deadline a little bit.
Well, we could say, yeah, we could.
So instead of making the
What if we don't
timeline-
have dates? What if we just put weeks, week 1, week 2?
No, or what you can do is just say, we were hoping that this could be done in a 2 or 3 month timeframe.
The other piece I was going to say is the finances. I would think it really depends. Because we have that $60,000 set aside for the circulation desk,
Yes,
which we're not moving forward with until this project's complete. So yes, we have a reserve that could be accessed and used for feasibility studies, but there are other,
Dollars.
yeah, and I don't think the board needs to make a decision on where it's coming out of yet.
Okay,
That could come down the line.
I think the decision is, we would like, I'm gonna say, I think we would like to have the report at least to you by the end of the year, like before the end of the year. We don't want to wait until the new year to have the report and then have to go through it, ideally. So whatever that date is, that either it's, we don't have a board meeting in December. So we need a report to you, and if you put it beginning of December, whatever that is, then the work back. Just you work it back, what's reasonable from there, and Serena can certainly speak to the timelines from an RFP receipt and review perspective.
Is that,
And we're not getting into.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so she would tell you whether E is doable.
Yeah.
And then F with the milestones.
It's really for us to say, we want this.
Yeah. And site visit, we talked about making it voluntary or mandatory, sorry.
I think we're gonna need.
Are it's not mandatory, the site visit. But if they wanted to, they could. I mean, that's gonna be a problem, right?
Yeah, so I think.
Because that's peak
I think from the
vacation time.
Execution of that,
Yeah.
like how it can get done in the period
Yeah.
of time, because we have.
Yeah, let her,
Oh, I know, I know.
Yeah, okay, you might wanna pull, there might be things that are
Take over.
pulled out, to
Yeah.
save time,
And
et
there
cetera, how many groups you talk to.
There is
How many
this
reports?
disclaimer that'll be included too. It's in all RFPs.
yeah,
That's good.
The other thing I wanted to highlight too is ideally if we had the study complete by the end of the year, if the towns finished their corporate strategic plan by the end of the year, then we have two big plans that we can incorporate into our strategic planning process.
Yes, yeah.
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 excellent. And then the last thing is the roles and responsibilities, so, that was your suggestion, Joanne?
I think it was just as we were trying to read through the various components of the RFP and some says town, some says the MPL, et cetera. I think it's helpful and again, for a consultant to know who's involved and who they're gonna have to report to. Ultimately, they just wanna know who signs the checks. But also, does this mean I have to present to the town and then I'm gonna have to present to the board, et cetera. So I think as well, to help Serena just manage the work, right? Like who's doing what in this process, let's just verify.
Generally, someone is the project manager, right?
Yeah.
So generally, it's not necessarily the CAO or the CEO, it's a manager, but that's all what you decide,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
What do you
but
have time
because we
for?
have the dual, right? So that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Serena's helping with our just collation and getting the RFP in.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer's the project manager for everything else, so it's more to help everybody understand. And so somebody in council isn't asking Serena about the library RFP.
Nobody's
Why
gonna
they
be,
would, I don't think they would, but it's just clarity.
Okay, so is that, do you have enough direction from us?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
You didn't include makerspace in this at all. That's under your 3 explore options for reconfiguration. I don't know if that's deliberate because we would need too much space.
No, it wasn't deliberate. We could put it in there. I don't know how much room we're gonna create. My thinking is we're gonna get another meeting room at the back somehow perhaps by shelving that is more like leaner. That's what you mentioned.
Yeah,
So we could get, maybe another programming space and another meeting room space. It could be booked by people, groups.
Well, it depends on also what you want to put in makerspace. Basically, so maybe you can ventilation and stuff. So,
Yeah, I think that might be more
fair enough.
for a bigger
Yeah, I think
expansion.
and even leaving it as supports youth engagement requires them to go, what does youth engagement look
Yeah.
like? What might that be? Oh, if it's a makerspace, so you don't have room for that. Oh, but you might have this kind of thing.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it doesn't mean they can't bring it up if there's some new 3D printer that's really small. Okay.
Around AODA and shelving, because the shelving that I think right now is identified as too narrow, so you're thinking about that as well.
Too narrow?
It's also too tall. So it's between the shopping
Yes,
things, so it's too narrow, theoretically for the AODA.
yeah.
We may not
You
get a lot of
can make
space
it
then.
through, but you can't turn around.
Okay, so you're suggesting we put in compliance with AODA?
Yes, I guess, I am.
Okay, you could put it under in 3, maybe, propose ways to reconfigure existing space, blah, 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 and ensuring compliance with AODA, is that?
Who are you talking, yeah. It came out to my mind because you talked about narrowing space in order to create programming space, and I think we need to be widening it, so.
Oh, but I think the shelving itself is bulky, is what you said to me once. I thought that was a great point.
It is.
So is
Well,
there,
this is from the 90s.
yeah, so is there something less bulky? So we may not, who knows, but, okay, and did you have another one?
One more, but no, I'm under number 7, asking, sorry. that's one.
Oh, yeah.
Policy and recommendations, I'm wondering about identifying potential grant opportunities, which is something that I saw in the MRFA report.
Yeah.
You know, where the.
I did include that in the last draft.
Oh, did you? Sorry. We've had version control issues.
I know, that's partially my fault.
That's great.
And I've also written down for myself, is it possible to highlight potential growth related, making them eligible for DCs? But I don't think that's what this is about.
No, this is just making sure that nobody on council, well, this is doing our due diligence with taxpayers' money, but it's also, so nobody in council says, well, I just keep going back to the fact of my hospital experience. You could never ask for a new MRI unless you could prove that you were fully utilizing your existing.
So when you get down to the potential grant opportunities would be AODA compliance piece, because there's maybe some that are grants that we could use for that.
I mean, it's great, it is that we're moving forward on the washrooms, it also sort of, then we lose that argument that we need the washrooms. Maybe something in government, right? Not creating a new building, except we want to later,
You know,
and that the organizations are that provide grants.
yeah. I think that this fits. I think I can see doing this, and I can see doing an expansion on this site as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna be, yeah.
And then the Washington says they're staying under the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't want to overcomplicate because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it just needs to get done.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
health and safety issue. They're horrible.
Yeah, yeah,
It
okay.
is a health and safety issue?
I would say it is
Oh, yeah,
now,
it
but
is.
Yeah.
we're on it.
Well, you've identified it as an emergency issue, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
And I just agree to about their support, actually finding out.
Yeah.
There has been a corporation.
Okay, guys, we've got
I lost a lot.
14 minutes left. So may I have a mover, Carol, and a seconder, Chris? That the board directs the CEO to proceed with, I guess, finalization of the, yeah, with the changes, and with the public release,
Yeah,
in accordance with the town of Blue Mountains
Yeah.
procurement policy. Okay, all in favor? So that is carried. All right, so we have strategic planning, we have finance. Is there anything maybe we could do the strategic planning quickly? Is there the budget timeline?
So that was,
sorry, yeah, that's the,
So I think the strategic is pretty fast.
So the terms of reference, I had some comments on.
okay, but let's just do the budget
Yeah,
first,
sorry.
sorry. So is that the, we're gonna just do this fairly quickly too, is that the budget book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we
sorry, I'm just,
kind of overstepped a bit with, or getting into operations, but we've talked about that, but, So there is,
The division sheet.
this is a division sheet and, so this is to Jen and she will take it to the next level, i.e. submit it to the,
To the town, there's probably a little, like, there's additional work I need to do, and actually with maybe a really high level discussion right now on any anticipated larger projects for 2026. Like, are we thinking of a study? Probably not. But I imagine we'll be spending some money on the strategic plan next year, so I'll likely identify that.
what about?
So before we get into, what is the purpose of this?
Okay, so,
Do you want me to explain?
yeah,
So basically, this document is what the town's communications team will use to create a story in the budget book. So every department of the town,
Yeah, no,
will
I.
be included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
yeah. And the board felt that we wanted to have a lens or an eye on it because of, the discussion of mandatory versus not mandatory. So that was why we got involved and,
Yes, I think for the purpose of this, it's really, as a board, aligning on the categories, the items that are the categories, and the many words according to the document for sure. And then maybe we could start with that, and then just going down to your point about like the 2026 projects, et cetera. I think the other question on that is, are we at a point in saying what our projects are, or do we need to identify that the board, like, our process, we're not at a stage to say, unless literally we're putting extension, and we'll
Yeah.
put it in there.
I haven't
Started a branch.
yet met with our managers. We have a managers meeting next week. We're doing basically a full day, because there's lots of stuff that we have to talk about, but the draft budget is on the agenda, so I will have a better understanding, at least from our staff, what they're thinking that they need, for next year. But I wasn't sure if there were any particular items at this point. If not, maybe it's premature to have that conversation with the board in terms of what we think will be
well,
included.
you did say, so first of all, we don't control this is the town's budget book.
So can I
Yeah.
insert it in? I don't mean to interrupt you, Julia.
Oh, no.
Madam Chair, just that, so I think what's going on here too, and I do apologize that I wasn't able to be at the last meeting long enough to hopefully have untangled this. So what it sounds to be is that there might be a little bit of a blurring the lines for core and non-core services. Well, the library is, there's nothing uncore about the services of the library to the community. I don't think that should be a question. But also too, what we gotta remember is that the library is governed by the library board, that's governed by the Library Act, so nobody can touch it, right? We have our memorandum of understanding, and we have our servicing and our financing agreement. So, I don't think we should be too concerned about what gets interpreted as it being core or non-core or mandatory or non-mandatory. I hope that alleviates a little bit of undue pressure that might have been caused by this. And then the story that gets written, it's just
A story.
It's a wonderful, fluffy
Yeah.
fairy tale that, like, I was anecdotally, I was telling Jennifer about this a bit ago about how last year was the first time that whole fairy tale storybook was done. And I took that, and of course, I'm, as a counselor and what I've been doing the last few years, I'm used to seeing numbers, right? Numbers, projections, the year over years. And then I got that, and I'm like, I don't need this. Like, I don't need to be sold on the story of the town, right? Or the story of what's going on. But I showed it to my neighbors. My neighbors were sold on a 10% increase for their taxes. They were like, this is great. I'll pay 10% more for my taxes, right? So that's where it does
It's
work.
transparency.
Yeah.
It's like that good news.
It's
Yeah.
it's all
We're doing.
fluffy unicorns and rainbows and all the fun stuff,
And I think
right?
your example is exactly, like, it's such a great example of why it's important.
Yep.
And why I think we just said, identify, for us to
Yeah.
identify and help people understand.
Yeah,
This is where that 6% is going.
Yeah.
And I would love to think that everybody just, oh no, it's an essential service.
We think you should get 10%.
no, well, that's,
But there are people who aren't sure, or who might need convincing a little more,
Yeah.
or not even convincing, but just, again, it's about transparency. And so I think that was why it was the question, and Lori put it forward, let's make sure that we're saying, and it's true, because it is, there legislatively.
Yeah.
There are things
Report,
that
yeah.
have to be there.
Yep.
So,
so there,
yeah, so you're right about the story. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the story is whatever it's gonna be.
yeah, and I'm sure that working with like through Jen and communications.
Yeah.
They can let us in, I'm sure, or whatever, on what their draft might be, but I think we just give them the bits, the granular bits. And they'll fill in the rest.
Yeah,
Okay,
and we will probably, by the time it comes back to us later this year, we will know some of the projects, so we can put that in.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Jen, reminded me of is that this will get tweaked. This is not gonna look exactly
right.
the same.
it'll get adjusted.
Yeah, but from a board's perspective, we thought, we needed to have a lens on.
Well, that's why we want to see what those, mandatory essential, whatever the other one is, because you see that essential, you look at the list, there's one line, I think that might mention books.
Yeah, yeah, but we were proud of ourselves. We were proud of ourselves that we identified some, nice to do, which was what, free parking, which of course nobody's gonna touch. We wanted to have some respect for this process, right? Like.
Right.
That these are some things that technically we don't have to do.
That's right.
I just didn't wanna say, we didn't wanna say nothing.
I imagine too, once I see, well, first it's communications,
Yeah.
work your magic and
Yeah.
make this sound amazing.
Mhm.
But then, like, to me, it's easier to see what they do and then edit it after the fact, as long as they have facts. But then I think it'll be easier too, once I see how other department
Yeah.
stories are coming
Yeah.
along. And I imagine there'll be quite a bit of back and forth at that point.
And at the end of the day, they control the pen, I would imagine, because it's their budget.
And there's lots of time too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we put in, the, bathrooms? Cause you could put that in before you send it off, cause they will be done this year.
Was an accomplishment.
Yeah. Cause you've got other things that haven't yet happened.
It's on here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this will be, well, we'll see, it could actually, instead of be, to repair, it'd be do a full renovation, which I think was in the budget book like
Years ago.
4 years ago. or something.
Anyway, okay, so I'm just worrying about time. Is everybody okay to stay a bit longer?
And was there anything that was in there? In these categories that people covered?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the other, sorry, I'm just, again, just thinking, strategically about this document, and is, the other question, because they do have in here, the 2026 work plan. But we won't have our work plan done by, this is supposed to be finalized by October. Either we're gonna have high level things, or we just reinforcing our separate entity by saying we complete our work plan by Q1 in 2026. So in the budget book that comes out. When does it actually circulate? Do you know? Oh, who knows? Okay.
It's all, yeah, it's gonna be the actual circulation of the first book. I think there was a timeline of October
Mhm.
or late September,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
October, finished by November, but that seems like fishing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Alright.
There was a comment, actually, I'll just clarify for
What's the
a new
section?
funding source for IDEA. And I think the funding source would be the foundation, Community Foundation of Grey Bruce for the Pride event. That was yes, we went to council as an IDEA committee and they said no to all of our budget asks in 2025, but as a library, we we secured that funding source for an idea initiative on our own.
Good.
Okay,
That's why you held it here. right?
maybe you should
Yeah.
say from a third party.
And I don't even know if that'll make it into
Yeah,
like
Keep going.
It's,
actual story, right?
do they not have work to do?
Anyway, okay,
Okay.
so, thank you for that. We don't need a motion for that. The Strategic Planning Committee report, the committee. Matt, a week ago, and I will turn it over to the chair.
I'm not sure yet, it hasn't been ratified.
Oh, right, okay, the temporary chair?
I so move.
I second.
There we go.
So what do you have? We met to, I think there are questions on the terms.
Yes.
So-
Yeah,
Can
so,
I have a mover
Yeah.
first?
Oh.
I could, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Join here.
and,
Yeah.
Maria,
I
Marie?
think procedurally though, no, it's the committee itself that,
Yeah, me chooses the chair.
yeah, and we did have quorum and you were voted.
oh,
Eric
okay,
claimed as the
sorry.
chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're there.
There you go. So I'll move to receive.
I'm chair.
We received the report, Marie, seconded it. So any discussion about the terms of?
So my only, like, I thought they were very, very detailed terms of reference, I think that's great. But,
Well,
That's your transparency and your
That's the
accountability
like-
right there.
but putting that aside, I just thought it was interesting, and you've got reference to, the committee chair may send a request to the board chair, but the board chair is actually part of the committee. So I just thought that either you take this out, reference to the board chair, because you're not gonna be an unbiased person, because you're actually sitting on the committee.
And so we're, sorry.
Sorry, it's on number 12, removal and vacancies. There's just a couple of points where it looks like if the committee is having problems, they'll send it to the board chair, which would make sense if the board chair wasn't a member of the committee. That's all.
these were the previous, terms of reference.
What was the board?
That
chair?
particular,
Yeah,
I think it's
So it
just
was different.
procedurally, that's typically what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you would send it to the board, because I don't think the board needs to deal with that level, but it's just when you've identified the board chair as sort of the arbitrator and the board chair as part of the committee, it's almost a conflict of interest.
okay,
But I don't know how to think.
What's the question? Like, if you're, so you have a committee.
for a
that's the
three-person
subcommittee.
committee
Yeah,
that I'm on,
yes.
and she's having,
So it says the committee.
she's
chair
having
may
trouble with
request-
herself. It's gonna-
So the committee chair may send a request to the board chair and request a reappointment if a member does not participate regularly or is unwilling to participate. And then it says any two members may also send a request to the board chair if any of the members is not, but the board chair is actually part of the committee.
But you would be, but the thing is that whenever there'd be a new, maybe new, member assigned to it, it would be brought to this board as
No.
the chair.
No, but it's not, maybe that's not the way, but I'm reading it.
That's the way I'm reading it, is that the board chair would be the one that would present that we need somebody else to join this board.
And then you would come to the
Yes.
board for that decision?
Yes,
I think,
the board makes that decision.
I had thought that it would be the board chair that would make that decision, and it didn't need to come to the committee, to the board as a.
Well, how else would the board know that they need to add?
and we are open if anybody wants to participate.
I was supposed to.
Yes, we know. I'm just glad you're okay. I didn't know.
Or the,
And the last line's first paragraph of number 12, even the. Yeah, so, I mean,
There are very complicated
Yeah.
terms of reference for a small committee, but
it's a blanket term, right?
yeah,
it is.
Because what it might be, it's more probably attuned to if the board, the committee is made up of members of the board. Not necessarily.
okay,
the board.
so we're,
Yeah,
what do you think, Jen? What should we,
I don't know, maybe no one else sees that as,
well, they're very wordy and they're very, but it's a policy that we,
It's in pre-existence and we have to be.
yeah,
rewriting.
so we'd have to change the whole thing and why?
I mean,
Uh,
no, it's
Or
really easy to
if
make
the-
it,
it says
to amend it.
Any member. The very last.
Oh, you're just talking.
Yeah, is there an opportunity, like, I'd love to sit on it.
Yeah, just going back to this, I was gonna say, how do we add someone? The challenge, because it's a steering committee.
In a series.
Yes,
You can't have four.
we can't have four. So
Figure
it
that
can't,
out.
that's why it's a
Thank you.
membership, no less than two, and no more than three, because if it's more than three.
Well,
Yeah.
I can depart and Carol can go on.
And then you have to solve your board chair.
There you go.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Maybe I'll just be an invited guest.
You can be invited, that's.
Okay.
I'll be ex officio, mayor can be there all the
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Well, as chair of the board, as board chair, you could be an observer on any committee you would want to be.
That's ex officio.
Ex officio.
Okay, so we'll make me ex officio. Does that solve that?
I think I still think it's quorum, even if you're not
Yeah,
voting,
you're not.
like you're still in the room, if you have quorum, it's a board meeting.
Is that why the last time it was a working group and not a steering committee?
Board
We
group.
never done.
So then should I not be on it?
That would solve a lot of problems. And save you the time.
Okay.
You're the problem child.
I'll go on,
There you go, problem solved.
Okay.
Okay.
So then we need a motion.
and I'm quite happy with Joanne chair. Totally.
Do we have to re-vote?
To move that, yeah.
We have to move it again?
So, yeah, so,
Membership changes.
so
Okay.
Where's the do you have the motion? It'll be something that the board appoints
accept the
Joanne.
terms of reference.
and
No, actually, we didn't even have that as a motion, so
We
we have.
should- we should.
We should.
we
I
should
guess
spell
in
it
the
out.
minutes, I could just put that Julia steps down from the committee
Yeah.
and then the board reappoints the committee.
We should lay it
Okay.
out there for transparency purposes anyways, when we adopt these.
And then you don't need to change the steering committee.
And we'll adopt these I would recommend anyways, I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do. I would recommend we approve these terms of reference for the steering committee. And then and then officially name the board, or sorry, not the board, the steering committee.
Okay,
So I'll move that, moved by myself, and if you have a seconder, that the Blue Mountains Public Library Board accept the terms of, unless there was anything else with the terms of reference, no?
okay,
Accept the terms, it should be approves the terms of reference of the strategic planning steering committee as presented. And the Blue Mountains Public Library Board accept the phases and timelines of the strategic planning steering committee as presented, and that the board appoints Joanne Visser as the chair of the steering committee
Not the
with,
chair.
oh, sorry, you're the chair?
No, committee names the chair.
And then the committee members are,
Yeah, for committee members.
Yeah.
Committee members then,
are Joanne,
Joanne,
Chris,
Carol.
and Carol.
Chris and Carol. I so move.
All right, all in favor?
Need a seconder.
Oh, sorry, seconder Marie, and all in favor? Carried. Okay, great, thanks, Sean.
Yeah, no problem. You almost think I do this stuff.
You-
So, I have a question about
Yes.
this. Because there is no budget mentioned, and I'm not sure whether you're thinking of doing this all in-house or if you hire a consultant, or is that a decision yet to be made?
the money is mentioned.
It is mentioned
Where
Earlier in the report.
Yes, access to funds which are defined in the board's approved annual budget, all financial management we conduct, so number 10.
Yes.
So you're asking, should we, are we
Have to
gonna
be
find-
We approved. We approved.
Yes, there's $1,500 for strategic planning.
And that's all you're planning to use.
At this point,
Yeah.
We don't know.
Okay. Yeah. That's basically limited. I was, you've got the $1,500 to play with, or you need to be hiring a consultant, and you don't know yet. Because Karen and I don't know yet.
Well, I think we weren't thinking of doing a huge overhaul, so that.
You're just doing some touch-ups really on the,
Yeah.
I think too, the $1,500 is a pretty healthy budget for consultation.
I would say so.
You know, if we're just doing incentives and, any supplies needed for workshops.
Yeah.
But next year, and this will go through the budget process, I guess, after the committee meets again. We may want to consider whether we want to outsource, graphics. That could be something that we spend some money on. But again, yeah, that would be a decision on a discussion of the committee that would then be brought to the board, but that's just sort of something we kind of high level talked about at the first meeting.
Okay, so that's good. Next, we have the finance report. The Q2 finance report. I noticed, looked like we're in good shape and our revenues are quite high.
They are high.
Let's not count them chickens before we hatch those eggs, though.
So what's your magic there, Jen?
I think we've just been doing really well, in terms of our art sales. We're also getting commission now, and this is kudos to the museum curator. We're getting commission now on some of the gift shop items that we're selling at the depot. So Alessia has a partnership now with a local artist who is actually designing some of the objects that we're selling in the gift shop. And so like from a finance perspective, we've set it up on the back end so that's very similar to art that gets sold in the gallery. So that's a new revenue source. And just based on the last 2 Sundays where museum staff have been at the farmers market, we've actually done really well in sales for the gift shop. So she does deserve a really big shout out because that's not the only improvement she's made to the gift shop. And that's been sort of an ongoing project. We have some other new exciting things coming in the gift shop too. I think it's an artist at Woodburns. I can't remember. She did a museum tour with all of her staff. They went to, Great Highlands, they went to Great Roots, and they got a lot of ideas kind of through their visits. So, yeah, otherwise, like even our facilities bookings are a pretty big revenue source as well. And that would fall under our own source revenues.
So, sorry, art sales and gift shop are commissions, is that just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else that,
I'm just curious why our grants as of June, it's probably just a transfer, because we should be at 50%.
yeah.
Yeah.
This timing,
It's just-
that's what I assumed, yeah.
And then, yeah, we won't receive our provincial funding until probably the fall.
Yeah.
And then in terms of federal grants, that also we have received a little bit of funding, already. It just wasn't processed yet on the back end for, the Young Canada Works internship at the museum. I think that was included in the Q1 just as sort of under the grants section in my staff report. But yeah. The other thing is what's new in this report is that I have included the surplus reserve. So the only time the board has ever seen the surplus reserve amount was when I brought the draft budget for 2025 and discovered that it existed. Like, I think we always knew it existed, kind of. Well, I was new at the time, but it was just how it was, I think, presented in the overall budget. So just for a point of clarity, the surplus reserve at the end of the year with our funding agreement, if there's any library surplus, it goes into that reserve. And there is no terms of reference, no additional terms of reference guiding that reserve. So our funding agreement, all it says is that we get to keep that money and it's at the discretion of the board to spend as of now.
And I did clarify that when Mike was here, that the number that they presented to the public as the total surplus does include ours. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Questions when you're done,
Yeah.
your comments.
Do I have anything else? No, go ahead, Lori.
Okay, so, there's a reference to, under land reserve fund, next maturity date. Is that meant to be 26, April 28, 26? So
Thank
just rolled
you.
over.
Yeah.
And is it still 5.3%?
Yes.
You're allowed. That's a big, well, that's pretty amazing. We've gone for like 3 now. And I just wanted for clarity, the notes at the bottom, though I've seen them for years, this is the first time I've had it, but does that actually make sense? So number 2 talks about BL, and I'm not sure what.
Oh, I removed that, but yeah, I think that was a typo.
So the council held reserves require recommendation, resolution by the board to access the funds.
Mhm.
So those are the two that are called council, development charge, and general reserve.
Mhm.
But then the next line says, town line accounts requires CEO authority. And then, yeah, the general reserve is also a town line account.
So,
So I'm looking for meaning.
okay, I can revise that for clarity. So council had held reserves would be this column here.
Those two rows.
So it would be, yeah, the development charges and the library legacy reserve fund. The board would have to get council approval to access those funds. But there's a few, town lined accounts and that the CEO has authority over. And that just means that it's held in a town account. But
I guess my question really relates to the general reserve, which is named both being under control of council, which means we have to use that funds according to note 2. And we have to-
oh, okay, I see what you're saying now.
Actually, all the council, they're all town.
Except for our open reserve and, the.
Sorry, I mean the ones that are listed as council, like held by council,
I'll say town.
they all say town line. So I think the question is which supersedes?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
It's who it's held by.
Right, but the question is in terms of access to it, right? Is it,
So if it says it's a council, then note 2 says it requires a recommendation by the board to access.
Yeah.
And is it really, it's a resolution by the board to authorize you, or is it a recommendation to council?
A recommendation to council.
Okay, so that's not clear.
Okay.
So recommendation to council, in which case it appears to contradict the third line, 3, which says it's under the CEO authority.
You're right.
So I'm just looking for clarity on question.
It's just an old form of council micromanaging the library board
Yeah,
and what they can spend and what they can do.
Yeah.
Right?
so can we ask for clarity?
I think I just need to reword
Yeah,
the footnotes.
yeah, reword the footnotes.
And just-
Give you discretion to do that.
Because really the location doesn't matter, it's who it's held by.
Yeah,
So if council's holding,
What does it do with $100,000?
well, basically, if it's council's reserve, then we have, even if it's designated for library purposes, the board has to request access to it.
Mm.
It's only who's holding it that really matters. The location, not really.
It's just the shelving.
So basically, number 3 is not valid. We'll just remove.
Yeah, I'll,
Yeah.
I'll take a closer look, but, and make it a little bit more clear.
oh, this is a
Yeah.
PDF, that's why you can't.
if the
Okay.
general reserve is one of the things we think we might be using for the state utilization, and if we have to go to council, we need to think about the timing of that.
I think which is why we said we were gonna take it from
The other one?
or one of our other, the other one.
Oh, the
was
surplus
veterans.
reserve.
Well, it's
It could easily come out of surplus reserve.
These are what's okay.
or use up that feasibility study space plan balance.
That's what you're
right?
saying, that if that's
Send it
council,
in,
we
just
have to-
fire that into the clerks for one of the first meetings of council and get it done, get it authorized, right?
I imagine too, if, like, whenever there's that second line of approval, for the most part, like, yes, there could be some other factors, as long as the request is in line with the terms of reference for that fund, it's not typically it's not hard. The hardest part is just getting it on the agenda. And
And that's where, if
Yeah.
you got it in the agenda now, right, with the clerk.
Well,
If not,
or this is something that we need to decide, and I think because we keep talking about where,
Yeah.
it's not about the amount yet, about how much we think we should spend on it, but I think, because I was looking back at the different meetings, and we've said 2 or 3 different things, so I think now it would be really helpful to formally identify, do we want to pay for the, RFP, for the space RFP, out of board managed funds, regardless of where, or do we want to pay from council managed funds?
I would
Because
say,
it's a profit step.
my suggestion was that there is, not telling you what to do, is that we got them, we still have some momentum, we use the council ones. Get it done,
Sending each to knowing what's going.
get
on.
it, yeah,
The
use
only
it now.
thing is we don't know how much it will cost.
But that's why we can put in up to, right? I'm pretty sure you could work it with them, with finance, you're meeting with finance next week. That we make, that the board, therefore formally requests the use of these funds up to dollars. And then whatever gets used. Now, maybe Monica can better correct it, but I think that's the best
And then if
avenue.
for some reason it's over the excess could come out of the surplus.
Exactly, and we can sort of direct ourselves.
Well, the other
Well,
thing,
there will be another phase to this. We'll get the study and then they'll say, okay, you can do this to the courtyard and you can do this and it's gonna cost $150,000 or
I'm not saying
something.
this,
Yeah,
it's better off that we have good enough momentum with the rest of the council. We're doing this feasibility study or this space needs study. Let's,
Yeah,
let's,
show
rather
them
than,
that
rather,
we're-
we're working with what we've
Yeah.
got,
yeah.
I would rather work with this council who
Yeah.
already knows what all.
then
these
start
things
over
are,
again.
than
Yeah.
to wait for the new council.
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
advantage while we're riding.
Yeah, might as well get something out of
Okay,
it.
so,
there's also this, we might not need this, but the library legacy reserve fund that's held by council is governed by this bylaw. And basically the bylaw just says, and I want to remove this IT piece. That bylaw says it has to be used at Ellie Shore.
For,
So I think the history of this, I know it just has to be, because it's a reserve fund. It's designated for Ellie Shore, but it doesn't,
well, then we do a separate motion and that we are able to utilize those funds for the service desk, right? Or something.
do we need to do that today?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I'm not trying to say, no, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I just think
because-
to help with things forward, I just wanted,
Yeah.
if we, now, because there's extra work to be done, so I think that's great.
I think that would be a
Do
fantastic
we need a
use.
motion for any of this? Cause we don't have a motion on the agenda. Like,
Well,
do
we
we?
don't have a meeting in August, so if you want this to be on council agenda in September,
We should put a motion.
then we need something in play to make it happen.
Yeah. I'll do it then, or I can write it out or
Yeah,
whatever works for you.
you're awesome.
if you want, I can quickly type it.
Okay, what's the motion, John?
So I'm gonna say something that the board formally requests the use of whatever this fund is called. I missed it. The one,
General.
The general reserve, non-growth related town line account.
okay. Of funds up to 73 and it keeps flipping around there. So whatever the,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. 73, 389 and whatever change.
Sorry, say that again. We're not doing of up to, we're just,
I would say that we request the use of the general reserve, non-growth related. Yeah, funds up to
The total,
the total,
yeah.
The total.
up to the total, you can fill that in whenever. For the use of the space needs study, or what do we call it again?
utilization.
Thank you, space utilization study.
Maybe of the Ellie Shore Memorial Library and
Would that
gallery.
end up being public information,
Yep.
before the consultant's bid?
No, you wanna have that going by September. This won't be to council by the end of September.
Okay,
So
that's my question.
you should there should be some
Well,
space in
and
there.
we may decide to spend more. I mean, we don't
It might
know,
be.
right?
We
And
will-
we've got reserve, so, yeah. Or that.
Yeah. We have the ability, we have the ability to write a
So
check.
can I,
but-
so that was you
Yes.
moved that? Can I have
Yes,
a seconder? Chris? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay,
and hopefully we use up
Great.
all of those little
thank you,
dollars.
thank you.
Right?
All right, well, thank you for that update. It's good to see things are moving in the right direction, and thank you, Sean, for helping us.
Correct.
That's what I do.
So I really would like to be out of here by 4:30, so,
Yeah.
the 30th anniversary.
Just a quick update. I'm hoping to do a media release at the end of July. Just announcing to the public that, you know, we're gonna be celebrating our anniversary this fall, and these are the things you can look forward to. And it'll just ideally be a high level of, you know, the speakers we have identified, and the events. So I'm just waiting. We have a list. I'm just reconfirming with everyone because we had reached out to them like late last year.
Mhm.
So my intention is to get that out at the end of July. And then the only other kind of exciting in development project for the 30th is our chair of the Arts and Culture Council, Beverly. She is designing a limited edition coloring book. And it's going to feature her original designs from the Story Tower.
Oh,
So that'll be, I think I don't know, I budgeted, I think we're gonna do 100 or 200 copies, one or the other. So it'll be a limited amount of copies. But it's just sort of a fun side project. It was her idea and she wants to do that for us. So I thought that was pretty neat.
And is that like we'll be ready for Christmas so we can finish?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
When's the 30th anniversary?
Technically it's I think it's December 6th,
Okay.
December 4th or I think I'm mixing it up because I think my start date was December 6th. Anyway, it's one of the, yeah. But we're gonna start our celebrations in September. So our first event, and again, I'm just reconfirming with our speaker, is at the end of September. And then hopefully the theme for that one is the sort of the democracy, intellectual freedom kind of conversation that, knock on wood, Dave Meslin will be our speaker.
Okay, thank you. Excellent work.
Oh, I have one more quick update. I was working with, there's a magazine, I think it's called Neighbors of the Blue Mountains. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but
Yeah, it's like a glossy couple page thing. It
Yes.
looks like, I'm not sure what the purpose of it is.
I think what they've done historically is just highlight, say, like local businesses or initiatives in town.
Yeah.
And so we secured the cover story for August.
Oh,
And so it'll be a feature on the BMPL, but then I don't know, it's gonna have some focus on me too as the leader, I think. But that's coming out in August. I don't know the exact date. I don't know, they came and I had to get my picture taken and all that
isn't
stuff.
that
That's great.
wonderful?
That's great.
But yeah, I haven't seen a draft. I don't have the exact date, but that's coming. I think it'll be some positive PR for the library.
That's great. Lots of good stuff.
If I can just add, because Councillor Ardeel just mentioned to me this morning, she heard on the Peak Radio, Collingwood Library being interviewed about some of their updates, et cetera. And she said, you know, they mentioned that they welcomed them back. And so she wondered if they do regular features, and it'd be a good idea to look into the,
I knew that.
whether they do local, program. Anyway, just, I
Okay,
promised I would
I'll look
pass it
into
along,
that.
so. pass
I
it-
know they have a podcast now, so I don't know if that's
Interesting.
somehow related to it, but they also have a recording studio
Mhm.
and all of that kind of equipment. But yeah, I'll look into that. That'd be expensive.
Um,
Can I ask a question?
yes,
I'm thinking about the climate action plan still. We are meeting with our individual councils.
Yes.
Would be, and, obviously to show them quarterly action plan.
yeah,
So be June, would be my meeting, space utilization study,
yeah,
bar scrap planning.
yeah.
30th anniversary, so when you have that information, then great to share and say,
Yep.
no, hope to see you out for that. And I suppose there'll be some stuff on RERPA. I guess the main message would be ongoing, we want to be still on the committee. So I just want to see if anyone lots of other things they were planning on mentioning with their person.
I have lots of good conversations with myself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe an update on the washrooms. Well, and I only say that because there was a counselor that came in yesterday afternoon wanting to meet with me, and I wasn't available, and it was because community members had complained. And I mean, that'll be part of our key messages too, but maybe just to let them know that the facility staff are on it if they do receive complaints.
Okay,
I think those are,
I think those are good.
Yes.
I think from the strategic planning, it's the, great that we're aligning, but the time it's gonna align, we're,
Yes.
you know, with the corporate strategic plan, as well as getting our heart in.
Did you ever get to talk with the board about the power backup?
No,
No, or is that on a future, will we put that on a future thing?
I should have had Phil while he was
Yeah.
here.
Can I drop these three? I know at that
Sure.
time.
Yep.
All right, so there again, back to getting jobs done around this place. So we've had that long-standing issue where we're the emergency media center,
Yeah,
but there's no generator here.
yeah.
And so that has been a bone of contention for many years, right? Because what good is this place if there's no power? You know, also too, I did have a conversation, and I'm not sure, did you get to follow up with the chief?
About them coming here.
Yeah,
They're coming for the September meeting.
perfect. So my thought is that I engaged the fire chief and the deputy fire chief and Diana, who's the the backbone of the fire department, really, when it comes to all the administrative work. To have a run through, have a discussion about what happens, what's in the playbook for how things work when there is an emergency and this place must kick into being that function. Nothing wrong with the drill. That's why the airborne division said, fail to plan to fail, right? So I'm glad, so I told them, I was all excited about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, Jen, I talked to them, and she's like, okay, I'll call you. They're gonna come in September.
They're coming in September to talk about the
Yeah,
plan and our role and everything.
Which I'm very excited about.
Yeah,
We know.
we don't have anything scheduled yet for like an in-person sort of mock emergency, but it's definitely on their radar. Like I included it in
That's good.
it's really good
my
forward steps.
communication when I invited
When
them.
I was-
Really good.
So we drill all the time, so I think it's important that we do practice what we preach.
Yeah, and then everybody knows what they're doing in the case of an emergency.
Yeah.
We know
But
the
then the next
expectations.
the big nugget of that is about the whole generator situation, right? So, whenever we get the chance to have facilities Phil back again, Mr. Wonderphil, he can probably explain it better. There's another, cause he's always the man with the plan when it comes to green projects as well. So if, in this case, the utilization of some solar panels and a battery bank here. And then there's nothing to transport and hook up and do whatever with, like, it's early stages, it's granular. I don't know, I'm not trying to look the
Well, it'll be
cat.
interesting to see what their
Yeah,
expectations
and
of
that's-
the library plays during the emergency.
And that's coming very soon.
Yeah.
So we're making great progress. Sorry to stop.
No.
Sorry to rain on your parade on that one.
Under-
I was super excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that under the round table. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so, key messages.
We're making great strides.
We are. I think we could say we had we were part of a strategic plan focus group with the town. We're excited, the bathrooms
I think we should formally thank Bill and the team
for the
for their response,
Mhm.
comprehensive response.
yes,
Yeah.
and how excited we are about that.
I wonder if we send a follow-up. Like I can put it in the key messages, but it might be maybe it should come from,
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to say thank you for the attention and,
Mhm.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Phil likes to eat. So, if they're thinking a fruit basket or some
I bet
granola
I'll go
bars.
to the office and I bet he ate my snack.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, is that why you threw him a granola?
yes. He's always hungry.
Okay.
You gotta feed the
So what are you
machine.
thinking? We send them a thank you?
Send them a
And
thank
a
you,
boxer.
pack of hot dogs, I don't know, something, yeah.
Are you serious though? A gift?
I'm just.
No, okay.
It's cool.
But
I
we'll-
don't think that's-
we'll send a thank you note.
Maybe when it's all said and done and completed.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna set a precedent, we can
Okay.
invite him for a lunch or something, maybe.
Okay. The space utilization study. So you could say maybe, the board finalized the scope. The strategic planning committee has been formed,
And the timeline and,
Mhm.
with the timeline, and then the 30th anniversary.
yep, I've
Plans
got
are in
that
the
on here.
Do we wanna say something about the revenues that increased? Is that?
I think it's too premature.
Okay, cause it's only partway through the year, okay. Is there anything else, anybody?
They want to mention that we're participating in the budget, the town's budget.
Oh, the town budget.
I'll look at what,
It's fine. I would just-
we worded something in the last, I'll play around with that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Do we wanna congratulate the Craig Leith Working Group on a successful Arts Walk?
It was the Craig Lee.
And Thornbury.
Yeah,
No.
don't forget the Thornbury.
But right,
Clarksburg.
oh my gosh, I always do that, but the Clarksburg Village Association definitely spearheaded
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, so give them the
Yes,
benefits.
yes.
Clarksburg, yes, but the Thornbury VIA and the town, so.
Yes.
I think it,
Okay,
Okay,
all
alright, can I have a mover? Lori, and a second for Chris. All in favor for the key messages? Passed. Alright, our next meeting is scheduled for September 18th, so Jen, had to do 3 board meetings in 3 weeks, because so you'll be glad of that break, and, now, can I have a motion to adjourn?
that was the other, we don't need a motion to adjourn,
Just declare.
just declare it.
Just declare this.
Oh. So why does it say motion?
It shouldn't, I'll
Just
pass
says
it.
that
Okay,
this board
recommended.
now.
The board now adjourns at 4:35 PM.